Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 8th round of the 2020/2021 Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series season. Tonight, coming to you live from the virtual Detroit Belle Isle Street Circuit. It goes by many names: Belle Isle, Detroit, or as iRacing calls it in full, Detroit Grand Prix of Belle Isle, which is probably the longest official track name I've ever heard of. But it's the first street circuit of the season, first and only, actually. So it's settled in the middle of a lake. Well, in the middle of a lake, but in the middle of an island, actually. So those of you that have heard of Detroit may have your I'd say misconceptions, but some of them are accurate. But you may have your impressions of the cityscape of Detroit, but this is actually from a very beautiful area, as we'll see the track map in just a moment to see the street circuit we will be racing on for the 8th round of our season. Tonight is kind of special because it is a double header race. Will be two little races inside of one, big event in tonight's festivities. So you'll get two races for the price of one, each a little bit shorter than usual. So we might actually be out of here a little bit earlier. The broadcast will be a little bit shorter, but still just as many points to hand out and just as much exciting racing action, I hope, to see on track. But of course, as usual, I'm your commentator as well as the series director and the producer of these broadcasts, Mr. Marshall Crocker Jr. Again, that picture has stayed the same the last couple weeks, and it does not get any better. I promised I've shaved since then, but it still doesn't look great, does it? Well, before we get off to qualifying, as we see in the background of the cars heading around the track, let's first give you an idea of what the Belle Isle Street Circuit looks like. There is the track. So as you can see, it's kind of settled in the area of an island. You have to take a shuttle across to get from the mainland Detroit across, I believe it's on Lake Michigan, across the bridge there to get onto the island where Belle Isle does sit. There is the track for tonight. Now, of course, that does probably look very plain. You see a lot of long straightaways. Nothing looks too tricky. But I promise you, once we see a car in qualifying go around the track and give you the lay of the land for each individual corner, you'll figure out just how tough this Detroit track is. We're going to see a lot of incidents tonight. We're going to see a lot of mistakes. I know I certainly made mine. We do our 2 weekly practices every week with the drivers, and I am sure to, whenever I can, participate in the races. And I know, even as a guy who's got plenty of experience running here at Detroit, at least virtually on iRacing, I sure did make a ton of mistakes myself, so it's prone to happening. We may see some of the leaders slip up tonight, but all in all, I think this is going to be one of the best races we've had in this series in a long time, and especially having 2 of them. So hopefully you guys all agree and you have some fun at home, and we will go over the lay of the land in just a second. So we'll head back to this screen before we head off to qualifying. But how tonight is going to work is each race will be worth half points. So the bonuses will all stay the same. The bonus for being our pole sitter in terms of the points will be 3 points as usual. And past that, we will have the same 1 point for leading lap, 1 point for leading the most laps, things like that. So the bonuses will stay the same throughout both individual races. However, the points per position in the individual races, so the usual 50 points that gets given out to the winner of any race in the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series season, will be split to 25. So you get 25 for winning each of the individual 15-lap races. And then each position down from there goes down by the usual ratio, just cut in half. So less points per race, but you have the potential for more than you would usually get because everything will reset during the middle of the broadcast. We'll go to our second race, and we have a little bit of a break in the middle to talk about positions. Then we head off to the second race, and then the top 3 of that race will get interviewed post-race. So not 6 interviews tonight, just 3 at the end of the second race. So nothing too insane there, just so you guys have the idea of what tonight will be looking like. But before we get off to qualifying, which will start in just a couple of minutes, here is your championship standings heading into tonight. Of course, last week, if you guys remember, we had our arguably biggest race of the season at Indianapolis for our double points race there. So now that we have that done and out of the way, here are your points updated coming out of that. These actually look wrong. They are indeed wrong. The points did not update properly. So let me read emergency. I don't know what. I've never had that happen before, where they just don't update on the broadcast. So let me read off your actual points. Hopefully this doesn't get too confusing. So Logan Pacza is, as that says, your current championship leader. However, he does have 324 points. Andrew Bedrossian is second with 278. Tim Salvatore is third with 251. Max Preston has moved up from 7th, what I believe that graphic says. Does it? Yes, he has. So these are the points prior to last week. So Max Preston went from 7th all the way up to 4th with 225 points. Carl Dronke, by winning at Indianapolis, getting his first win of the season, becoming our, I believe, 4th different driver to do so. 3rd or 4th. He took away over 100 points, so he moved up 8 spots all the way to 5th with now 221 points. Trevor Anderson is still in 6th with 211. David Pacza has dropped down from 5th to 7th since last week with 209. Crocker has moved up 1 position to 8th with 177, with Manuel Guerra dropping down to 169 points. Caleb Campbell goes up into the top 10 with Woody Hand missing out on Indianapolis, going all the way from 4th to 11th. So Caleb now has 167 points and is in the top 10. Woody is in 11th after that with 163. Tanner Dignard has 159 and is in 12th. Rich Foligno is in 13th with 155. Jack Hillier has 139 and is in 14th. Justin Lewick has 118 and is in 15th. John Guerra has 107 and is in 16th. Renee Hart has 78 and is now in 17th. And Michael moves down to 18th, still with 51 because he only made one race this season, but he did win it. And then Sam Howard rounds out the points with 39. So apologies, those are wrong. Hopefully you guys could keep up there with the updated positions. I don't know, sometimes this broadcast package says, no, let's just not update your stuff and reset it before you start the race. So you never know. Hopefully you guys got the gist of things. Logan is still your championship leader. Andrew has closed the gap, and quite significantly actually, because of a race in Indianapolis, finishing third. For those of you that remember the photo finish we had there, or remember just how close he did come to his first win of the season. But tonight, a very good chance for Andrew to get his first win of the year. Back in the number 5 car. I know he didn't get his number assigned last week, but he will have it back again. So, well, in order to win tonight's race, the first thing he's got to do is, well, start off by qualifying on pole. So let's see if Andrew will be able to do that. We'll get all of your graphics set up for qualifying. There on the top left is your timer. So we have 10 minutes in qualifying as usual. We're now 25 seconds into the session. So let's get a lap around the track with, what do we want to start with this time? Let's throw on your proper sound, take off music, and there you go. So there is your lovely in-car audio. We're going to go to Andrew first because he always gives us some pretty good shots there. So here is the number 5 car. It's based off of a Ferrari entry, but of course Andrew calls it Eleanor. He is famous for naming his cars in this series. So here is the front of Andrew's car. Heading down the very long backstretch, you're going to see plenty of passing opportunities in this straightaway all day. Now coming into what I believe is turn number 7. So many tight turns in here that maybe aren't all classified as turns, so it can be tough to tell where you are on track. But this is through what I call the Auto Trader section, kind of the middle extended bus stop section off the back of the backstretch. And then there's that barrier to the left side that cuts off the straightaway, otherwise it'd be a little bit too long. Now back onto the other part of that same straightaway. And this very tricky double right-hander. You take this tough right-hander with the very high curbing that if you hit puts you straight into the outside wall. You take the second right-hander and down the, what I call the straightaway of trees. You see the lovely background detail of Detroit down there on the left. Back on the main land, Logan Pacza is actually ahead of Andrew coming out of the pits for this first lap, so you might see Logan in the distance. Of course, no lap's going to register that first time by because you got to go around a full lap and everybody leaves from the pits on the first lap. So now we will see what these drivers have and what kind of times they can put up first lap. But now Andrew taking this second long straightaway, also good for passing opportunities up to this very quick corner 2 right-hander. You can carry a lot of speed through, but as you saw, that wall was a 90-degree straight right, so if guys get together, as we saw in the 2018 IndyCar version of this same race at Detroit, well, if cars get together, they can tangle into the wall and kind of cause a pileup. Cars and cars lengths behind them. It can be very tough to go past some of these blocked, tight corners here at Detroit with how tight the walls are. So if too many guys get piled up, well, you may have more trouble than you would at any other track. Manuel Guerra is going to be the first driver to run a lap. I talked about the depending on where your pit stalls are, depends on when you get your lap set. Manuel and Jack started far back enough on pit lane that they did technically cross the line the first time by, so their laps count and they go up. But the average pole lap, I'd imagine, will be somewhere in the mid 124s if I had to guess. So the 146 set by Manuel is not going to stand, and I'm sure he's going to improve that considerably on his first proper attempt. But here is Logan Pacza, your first driver to put down a proper attempt here. Going to come out of the final right-hand turn. Across the start-finish line, what kind of time will he set as the benchmark? A 125.6, so just trying to get up to temp. Let's see if Andrew can beat that on his first attempt. No, he will not. He'll go up to second, though, so pretty comparable time there by Andrew, running in the 125.8s. So not too bad. Certainly room for improvement once these guys get their tires up to temp. Tire temperature is always very tough to deal with here in the Indy Pro cars. Now Trevor Anderson's going to run his time as well. Rich Foligno also, so third and fourth respectively for those two gentlemen. Trevor's going to go into the top 3. Manuel Guerra is now off the track, but Marshall Crocker Sr. will put himself onto the leaderboard, goes 5th first lap by, running somewhere, I believe, in the low 130s, so I'm sure with hotter tires he will improve that first lap. Now David Pax is going to cross the line there in the 53 car. Where will he jump on the leaderboard? Going to jump up to 5th, so he'll leapfrog Marshall Crocker Sr. for the time being. Of course, important to remember that these times only decide the starting spots for race 1. So, of course, we do the 2 races tonight. Race 1 will be decided by qualifying here, and then race 2 will be decided by the finishing positions from race 1. It's just everybody will reset. We'll do a proper full restart. Everybody will get their quick repairs back, and that means we will have a basically from the ground up restart of race 1, just with new starting positions. But Logan Pacza is coming down through the final 2 corners here, down the long straightaway back to the start-finish line here through the yard of trees. Let's see if he can improve upon his time. Comes across the line here. I'm going to take the right-hander through the 1 and 2 chicane. Will he improve? Doesn't look like he will, surprisingly enough. Andrew does, though. Goes 125.3, so Andrew Bedrossian, who has qualified on pole 4 times this season, looking to make it 5, and well, that's a good way to start. Again, I think guys will probably reach into the 124s as Max Preston will go 4th, just barely behind Trevor Anderson on his lap. Keep an eye out for Marshall Crocker Sr., looking to move up from 7th on this lap. Comes past the pit entrance. Now across the start-finish line. Will he improve? Looks like he will. He's going to leapfrog David Pacza, but going to stay 6th for the time being. Rich Felino just narrowly ahead of him. Justin Little cooking this at his first time. Hopped into the session very late, but it's good to see he was able to make it. Let's see if Justin can put down a good time. I know he talked about he's been able to run 125s pretty consistently all week, so if he can run one of those, it would put him 3rd temporarily for the time being. Unless he could run a low 125, in which case, well, might be able to leapfrog Logan or even Andrew. Justin doesn't have a pole yet this season, but he said the pace to do so at a couple tracks, so let's see if tonight is the night. John Guerra, I believe, just ran his first lap of the race. His brother Manuel has gone 8th for the time being. Let's see where John is on track. Just came across the line, but looks like his time won't register, so either he was just on an it lap or he hit the wall. Whatever it will be, that time will not count for the time being. Logan Pacza is just about to run his next proper lap. Here he comes across the line, was fastest in Sector 2 of anybody. Won't be good enough to leapfrog Andrew back. It will, going to go 125 flat, but Andrew's about to cross the line as well. Might have even got a draft on Logan. Will he improve that time? He will. He's going to go to the pole with a 125.021. 4 minutes to go in qualifying, and these guys have run 12 thousandths of a second off of each other. Will Max Preston be able to improve? He's currently running 5th. I didn't even notice, but Carl Dronke was temporarily up to 3rd. I know the guy is a master Detroit Belle Isle. Actually has the lap record here at Belle Isle in the Skip Arbor right as he goes around there coming onto the backstretch. So a great time for Carl originally, but Max just leapfrogged it, and Carl's got in a small incident, so might be able to get back out on track and set one more fast time in qualifying. Marshall Crocker Sr. is once again going to leapfrog, this time not only David Pacza, but also Rich Felino, so the 15 car goes 7th, but now Justin Lillick's going to push him down into, sorry, he went 6th temporarily, now he's going to get pushed down to 7th, as Justin Lillick runs his time there, somewhere in the, probably the mid-127th, so that'll be good enough for 6th for the time being. Trevor Anderson is heading back out of the pits. He's 5th currently on the leaderboard. He's getting ready to set a lap. You see there in the background is the 99 car of Rich Felino getting his tires warmed up for his own attempt. So currently Jack Hillier, who is in the 18 car, rounds out your top 11 times there. He is 11th. Now rounds out your top 12 as John Guerra does set a time there, and he now goes 10th, just ahead of his brother Manuel. So now 12 drivers have set a time, but Andrew Bedrossian and Logan Pacza are about to come past the line once again. Here comes Logan. Will he improve his time? He does not. Will Andrew improve his time? He's already on the pole, but can he get that time even higher? He's got a 124.6. He does indeed, so he's just pushing that time further and further. Now 4/10 ahead of Logan. Logan, of course, the series points leader. Can he push his time any closer? Max Preston, I believe, just came across the line. Did he improve his time? I don't believe he did, but he is still in 3rd for the time being. Carl Drunke's also heading back out. You saw him have his incident there on the backstretch coming out of turn number 5 just a moment ago, so now he's going to attempt once again to set a new lap, but Andrew Bedrossian, your current provisional pole sitter, is right behind him, so he will manage to get out of the way. Justin Lillick is going to leapfrog all the way up to 3rd out of nowhere. So the 7 car, he talked about that pace that he might have in tonight's race, and he has shown it running in the low 126s. Very respectable time here at Belle Isle. David Pacza is going to leapfrog Marshall Crocker back into 7th as we come towards the end of qualifying. Now less than 2 minutes to go. So the 53 car will move up to 7th for the time being. And Justin Lillick's time pushed Carl Dronke into 5th, Trevor Anderson into 6th. Caleb Campbell will run his first lap there in the Oreo 13 car. He's going to go to 12th for the time being. Should have probably 2 more chances at setting a even better lap time. Or an even better lap time, I should say. Now Logan Pacza in the 16 car, points leader. Can he take the pole back? Didn't seem to run a personal best in any sector, so more than likely will not. Looks like he won't be able to leapfrog Andrew. Will Andrew improve upon his time? he will not. That 124.622 is going to stay where it was, so no improvement as of yet from the number 5. Now Max Preston's going to come across. Can he leapfrog his way up into the top 2, or even the top 3? Does not seem to improve his time, so he's going to stay behind Justin for the time being. Looks like he won't make the top 3 unless he runs a great final lap. Tanner Dignard is on track trying to set his first time of the qualifier. The only driver yet to not. He goes 8th currently, so he's going to leapfrog Marshall Crocker. Push John Guerra out of the top 11. Now sits in 11th, and his actually 11, 12, and 13 all share their number with their qualifying spot. That's kind of ironic. But for the time being, let's just keep an eye out for guys setting their new best laps. Justin Lewis at a 134, so must have either had to avoid a lap car or maybe hit a wall, had some troubles, not quite sure. Manuel Guerra ran a personal best in sectors 3 and 4, so let's go with him and see if he's able to improve his time. Comes out of the final turn, makes a little bit of contact there with that outside wall with the left front tire. Logan Pacza has gone quickest in the first sector, so we'll have to keep an eye on his time. But here comes Manuel across the line. Will he improve? Looks like he will not. Neither will Caleb Campbell, so both guys will stay 12th and 13th respectively for the time being, but John Guerra is run a personal best as well. As he comes across the line, is he going to jump anybody? No, he's also going to stay 11th, so... Oh, we have... Okay. Oh, qualifying is over. As soon as it starts, it's done. That was quite drastic. So, would have thought guys would get to finish up their laps. I don't know why that reset, but... Well, we've got to hurry then, because, yeah, that was a rather quick end to qualifying. Guys should have had more time to finish up there, but apparently we are done. So there is your final results for qualifying. It'll mean that Andrew does indeed take the pole in tonight's race. Actually, let's throw this up in a little bit of a different manner if we have time. There. Oh, it's kind of in the way. Just got to move to that. There we go. So there's your grid for tonight's race. Andrew Bedrossian is on the pole on the inside of row 1 with Logan Pacza in the 16 to his outside. Justin Lewis will start 3rd. Max Preston starting 4th to his outside. Carl Dronke runs at the top 5. Your winner at Indianapolis last week with Trevor Anderson to his outside in 6th. David Pacza in 7th with Tanner Dignard to his outside in 8th on row 4. Marshall Crocker and Rich Foligno round out the top 10 in race 1. Then John Guerra and Manuel Guerra, the all-Guerra 6th row. And finally on tonight's grid, as we scroll down, or at least we should. Well, we won't, but Caleb Campbell and Jack Hillier will round out tonight's field. Sorry about the troubles there, trying to show that last graphic, but here we go. Let's get things kicked off here for the first race of the doubleheader of the 4th round of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series season. Let's get ready to go green. Just got to reset the graphics there as the timing tower is glitching out a little bit, but we'll still call the beginning of your race. Green flag as Andrew Bedrossian takes the field to green. Heading down into corner 1, Logan Pacza is going to slide in behind him. We now come to the beginning of the 8th round, or at least the first race, so 15 laps in this particular race. Coming through that 1-2 chicane there through turns 1 and 2. Logan Pacza may think about a move to the outside there on Andrew Bedrossian. For the time being is going to be unsuccessful, but he definitely thought about it to the inside. Andrew will block inside. Max Preston there to the outside, thought about a move, but oh, I think he made contact with the outside wall. Looks like he had a little bit of trouble. Back up to speed. The timing tower is going to take a minute to reset, so just wait until we come across the line next time for that. So effectively, the race order, as far as I can see on track right now, is Andrew Bedrossian in 1st, Logan narrowly behind him in 2nd, Justin Lewis still in 3rd, Carl Dronke moves up to 4th, Max Preston after that in 5th, Trevor Anderson still in 6th. Then after that, not sure what we're looking at behind them. Let's see, who is that in the background of that shot? Tough to tell. Got to see who is where on track. That is Marshall Crocker Sr. So he has moved all the way up to 7th, I think, effectively. We'll see when the timing tower resets at the line. Behind him is Manuel Guerra. Behind himself is John Guerra. Then Caleb Campbell after that. Jack Hillier, who has crashed, it would seem, coming into turn number 8 on the backstretch. He's made contact with Rich Foligno as well, so Rich will go by him. Tanner Dignard goes by him, and David Pacza missing his entire front left wheel assembly as he comes down the backstretch. Again, cautions are going to be kind of rare to be called tonight because, well, here at Belle Isle, we're expecting all sorts of chaos to unfortunately happen, but it's what you expect at a tricky track like this. But Andrew Bedrossian, after lap 1 of 15 in race 1, still your race leader. Of course, looking for his first race win of the season. Things have not reset, so apparently Andrew is going to show up on this as, I guess until guys come across the line proper and reset it. But Andrew, I assure you, is in 1st currently. Then Logan Pacza after that in second. Then a little ways back, Justin Lulick is defending from Carl Dronke for that third place spot. This top 6 has really been without incident so far all race. Not really having any troubles to speak of, but a little bit further back in the field, you see there on the track map, a number of drivers have had to come into the pits. Caleb Campbell is the final driver, I believe, on the lead lap, but not in pit lane. Tanner Dignard and Rich Foligno have both come in this lap, as well as David Pacza is coming down as we speak. So besides that, everybody is left on track. John and Manuel Guerra seem to be having a battle there for, got to do the math here, that would effectively be 9th place. So John and Manuel battling it out for those spots. Marshall Crocker a little bit further ahead in the field, but back up to the front, Andrew Bedrossian in the number 5 car, coming down towards the line, I should say, to start lap number 3. There you see the view behind the 5 car of Bedrossian. Something stuck in my throat. There we go, that's a little better. So the 5 cars, you can see Logan Pacza's dropped back a fairly considerable amount, about 2 seconds, so now Andrew will reset as the race leader and things will get back to the way they were. So just took a moment to get everything reset. So as we come across the line, Max Preston still in 4th, Trevor Anderson still in 5th. I missed Carl Dronke's incident. He has dropped back all the way to, well, he's 6th, but he's dropped decent ways back behind Trevor Anderson, who was originally ahead of him. So kind of forming an F1 style long line here. We are at race 2 at Belle Isle. Marshall Crocker's now going to try to chase down Carl Dronke, though, take advantage of his issues, take over 6th place in race 1. John Guerra after that, with Manuel Guerra trying to chase him down. Caleb Campbell there in 10th, who's just about to come across the start-finish line. Rich Foligno and Tanner Dignard there in 11th and 12th. And David Pacza, who has returned to the track. Jack Hillier, who appears to be in the pits. Maybe just left pit road, but he did. He's left pit lane, but he appears to be having some troubles there, I think, on... No, he's okay. Sometimes my telemetry likes to play tricks on me, but for the time being, Andrew Bedrossian still your race leader. He's held the lead pretty consistently since the start there, but Logan's not exactly fallen back anything too quick. Which, I mean, if you're Andrew, the last thing you want to do at a track as tough as Detroit is have somebody right behind you pressuring you the entire time, and unless he's able to clear that 1 second gap to Logan, things are not going to be made easy for the number 5 cars. He looks to get his first win of the season. But really, at a track here like Detroit, where passing opportunities are so tough and hard to come by, the first thing you want at this track is pole position. It's easier to move on and keep that top spot at a track like this if you can just focus on your line for a couple laps, try to run as quick as you can on your own, not worry about the car behind you, and then once you've broken away a little bit, you can start thinking about how far back Logan is. But currently that isn't too far back, but 1.5 seconds. So we open the gap up there in sector number 1. Up in the distance there is the lap car of David Pacza. So Bedrossian is kind of on track in a Pacza sandwich right now. He's got David Pacza up ahead, Logan Pacza chasing him from behind for first. So let's head back a little bit to Max Preston, who's trying to chase down the number 7 car of Justin Lulick. Of course, Justin does not have a podium this season, but Max has got plenty. He's just been on an absolute tear as of late. He won a race earlier this season at Mosport, but he's also had about 3 or 4 podiums in the last 4 or 5 races. So he's just been on fire, including one recently at... was he on the podium for... Yeah, he was on the podium at Indianapolis and at... where were we before that? At Lime Rock. I know that wasn't broadcasted, but he did have a podium there. So Max has just been on a bit of a tear lately, and now he's trying to chase down his good friend Justin Lulick for yet another podium this season. I think would become his 5th of the year. Only Tim Salvatore has more than 5 to this point. He's got 6, and unfortunately he wasn't able to make it out to tonight's race. So he is probably the most notable absence in the championship, besides Woody Mahan, who yet again wasn't able to make it out tonight. So a couple drivers missing races, which as a result is going to change the point standings. But I'll be sure to update you on all of those points changes more accurately going forward next week. Hopefully everything properly displays then. I'm sure it will. But for the time being, Max still trying to chase down the 7 of Justin Lulick. He's getting closer and closer with every passing corner, now within 4/10 of him. He's going to get a good run here down into corner number 2, but I don't think he'll be quite close enough to make up that gap. So might have to wait until a couple of corners pass, maybe on the backstretch where we can get that run again. And the big thing to talk about here at Belle Isle, or really with any street circuit with tight corners, is the dirty air can play a huge effect on your car, where if you can get in the slipstream on somebody down the straight, it's great, you can make up some time, but then you take a corner and that dirty air makes your car understeer a little bit, makes it harder to get the back end around, and it can kind of take some downforce off the car. You see it happening there, watching the back end slide there on Max as he comes through the turn. So that's just kind of what you have to expect here at Belle Isle if you're going to get that close to a car in front well in the slipstream, and it's what he's trying to do. It's what he's got to do in the straightaway to make up that time to Justin Lulick, who seems to run really consistent right now. He's running consistently in the 125s, so So as we head now a third of the way into race number 1 as Andrew crosses the line next time by. We're a considerable ways into the first half of tonight's festivities, and he's getting close, but at a certain point you're going to kind of run out of time unless you do something drastic if you actually want to make that pass. And passing is so tough here at Belle Isle, even once you make all the progress up to catch up to somebody. There's David Pacza there in the background, so it looks like the top two of Bedrossian and Pacza have been able to make it by him. But it's just so difficult to make moves even once you catch up to somebody here at Belle Isle. So Max is doing his very best as we speak. He's still in the draft on Justin. This might actually be his best opportunity. Let's try to get a better camera there on Max Preston here, live on board the number 6 car. Again, looking for his 5th podium of the season, looking to move his way up through the points, already in 4th. Right as I say that, we go to his camera, slides through corner number 2, catches too much of the curbing and slides through. Maybe the dirty air had something to do with it that I just mentioned, but Trevor Anderson now right behind him. Another guy who's been rattling off podiums as of late in the 25 car, so now he's going to try to chase down Preston. Preston, an obvious lack of handling there from that 6 car as a result of the incident, so for the time being, maybe his tires are going to be scuffed or something like that, but he is having considerable issues with handling, so he's going to try to defend that 25 car all he can. Where is Trevor Anderson going to think about going? Might not even make the move now, but if Max has got steering issues at a track here like Belle Isle, he may not be out of that 25 car for long. But that is perfect for Justin Lewick fans. Now Justin just needs to get by David Pacza, and then he will be comfortably in 3rd place for this first heat. Of course, looking for his first podium of the season. Now Trevor has made the move past Max, made it on the entry into corner number 8 through that middle kind of bus stop area. So Max is just falling back like a rock in water. He is having troubles. That you saw there in the background, Carl Dronke has also almost made contact with that inside wall. So manages to recollect the 38, and he is okay. Justin Lewick has come into the pits. One important thing to mention, you shouldn't need to pit for fuel or anything like that, so unsure as to his reasoning to come in. You can make the entire individual race tonight on a full tank of gas, so I'm not sure what's happening to him, but him and Max Preston both going to come into the pits this time, so wow, really surprised by that. As you can see, no obvious cosmetic damage, so not sure what the reasoning would be for him. But that'll promote Trevor Anderson up into the 3rd spot. He's come all the way from, I think, no, 11th is wrong. It says in my telemetry he is 11th, but came back from reasonably far back in the field, I think maybe 5th, so up 2 spots. Not a bad race so far for the number 25 car. But here is where all the action is on track. This is the straightaway up towards turn number 2, so that's Justin Lewick at the head of the field. He's come out of the pits in 5th, passing Marshall Crocker back for position. Now Max Preston will try to chase him down. The battle between Lewick and Preston resumes, but this time for a spot much further back in the field. Is Preston going to try the move here on the first sector left-hander? He did. That was a really nice move there by Max through corner 4. So now through corner 5 under the backstretch, he'll make the move on Crocker. I don't know if Crocker's going to try to get in the slipstream and chase him down, but that would not be ideal for Max, who's already trying to chase down Justin and take a top 5 spot of his own. So going to do his very best here. Let's go on board with Marshall Crocker for the time being as he peeks to the inside of Max. Doesn't make the move here this time. Probably for the best there. The angle he was coming in on probably would have been a little bit tough to woe the car up in time to make the corner. So good bit of patience there from the number 15 car, but he's just chugging along right now, still in 7th in the top half of the field. Still in the ballpark there of Max Preston. He's actually driven away quite well from John Guerra on this lap. He's gained about 2 seconds from the 12 or the 11 car since when he started. So not a bad first race at all for the 15 cars. We get to the halfway point this lap by. Andrew Bedrossian has now taken the start-finish line once again. He is actually well through corner 5, well into the backstretch. So tonight's race is indeed flying by. Again, half points assigned right now as Andrew is cruising down the backstretch. Things looking pretty simple for him right now. He's only broken away, though, about 2 or 3 tenths from Logan Pacza in the 5 laps we haven't talked about him. So if this doesn't show you that your top 2 in the championship are about as close as they come, I don't know what will. Carl Dronke is now out of the event as well. He is in the pits. Considerable damage to the front right tire of that number 38 car. What has happened to him? We'll go back to a replay and see what happened. That's Jack Hillier there on the inside. So the 18 car, Jack Hillier. Carl Dronke's coming up to him. Tries to avoid, and just Jack kind of crowds the apex there and clips Carl as he comes to the corner. Carl, considerable enough tire damage that he will have to come off the track. So lap traffic is going to be tough tonight. It's such a thin track here at Belle Isle that, you know, avoiding situations like that is easier said than done, and it's why we shouldn't count this top 2 out either, is even though these two are considerably far ahead of even Trevor Anderson in 3rd and at 15 seconds away from the next driver after the 2 of them. You still got to watch out for lap traffic. I can see up ahead is Rich Foligno there in the 9th position. as you can see on the track map on the top right there, who is now coming down the backstretch, so he's a decent ways ahead. They'll probably catch up to him before the race is over, but Rich has always been a really good guy about letting guys by if the situation arises, so I'd imagine we shouldn't see too much trouble in that respect. But back to the battle for fourth currently. Justin Lewick has broken away a little ways from Max Preston, but still not far enough that I'd say we can count Max out. And again, with how good of a run Max has been having the last couple weeks, you know, all the top fives, all the podiums, and as well the win at Mostport, Max has just been on fire recently. So again, we can't count his possibility of getting back into the top the top four, I should say. Trevor would probably need to have an incident there in third to not take home his, I think, second podium of the season, the first since Max's win at Mostport. But this is looking at the right rear tire of Justin Lewick's number 7 car, again running a livery that they run in Formula 2 in real life, and Max Preston running the Black Hooters livery, so two guys that make it easy on me to make graphics for, because they don't switch their liveries up all too often, which is always very helpful. So special place in my producing side of things heart in terms of these two guys. But the battle rages on, about a second separating these two gentlemen, and currently Justin is just barely in slipstream reins, but he doesn't seem to be letting the pressure get to him. Is just kind of chugging along there in the 7 car. Max is going to have to pick up the pace a little bit, maybe by a couple tenths a lap in these last 5 laps if he wants to catch him. But Andrew Bedrossian and Logan Pacza, let's put up the time difference between these two guys in the last couple laps. Well, actually, that's a time delta, but that's actually a pretty good graphic there. I haven't used this in quite a while, so you can see over the course of the race how the gap between Andrew and Logan has changed over the course of the race. So on lap number 4, that says at the bottom of the graphic, they were 1.4 seconds apart. Only 1 lap in the last 5 has Logan gained on Andrew. That was on lap number 7. He got a little bit closer, but since then, Andrew has just been chipping away at that deficit, or that gap between himself and Logan. He's been ahead the entire race, so it's not a deficit per se. But he is breaking away now, about 2 tenths on this lap. He's already about 2.3 tenths up on Logan as he came by last time. So it'll be 5 to go when the 5 car crosses the line this lap in race 1 of tonight's 8th round of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series at Belle Isle. And things are just flying through. No cautions as of yet, as we haven't had an incident with enough cars to warrant one. Again, we said we were going to be very lenient about calling them, because again, with a track like Belle Isle, guys are going to hit the wall, guys are going to have incidents, and it's just something you got to learn to expect. So something that we haven't had to do yet, and it'll make tonight's race a little bit quicker, which is always good. I know some of them can be a little bit longer. We had quite a few cautions last week at Indianapolis towards the end of the race, so try to get you guys try to get your weekend started a little bit early, try not to keep things too long, and certainly on the drivers. I mean, think about how mentally taxing this Detroit Belle Isle track can be. Certainly don't want them running for too long periods of time as you start to break focus. I know what happened to me in practice this week for sure, but we want guys running 100% all the way through the races, so that is what we did. So almost towards the end of the first heat, Andrew Bedrossian again looking for his first win of the season, and as he now pulls a 3-second gap out on Logan, he's able to avoid a mistake in this last couple laps. This might be Andrew's first win of the season that I know he's been looking for a very long time. He's come so close so many times, and I know he expects so much of himself with how talented he is driving this Indy Pro car. But things just haven't worked out for him quite yet, at least not to the point where he can get that top spot. Again, came so close at Indianapolis, was on the podium. You saw in that photo finish there that I posted a picture on the Facebook, but I should have one ready for maybe a montage later in the season of all the broadcasts to this point. So I'll get that ready next week. But yeah, those of you that didn't watch the Indianapolis race, and even if you don't want to watch the whole thing, be sure to go back and watch the finish, because one of the craziest we've had in any series I've put together in a very long time. As just as a reminder, you can go into the YouTube channel that, of course, you are watching right now. Go into the YouTube page, go to playlists, and you will see any race I have ever broadcasted, either from the Cards to Computer series or on this channel, in that playlist. So we're going to go back to the Justin Lewick Max Preston battle. You see as we come through, whoa, considerable slide there from the 6 car Max Preston as he comes through turn number 10. Loses the back end a little bit, but manages to save it. So he's still getting close to Justin Lewick. Taps the outside wall a little bit. That back left tire is buckled. Maybe it's just on my screen, and it appears to be, as he's not going to pit. Sometimes iRacing just assumes damage has happened to a car if they hit a wall a certain way. It doesn't always happen. Sometimes it just lies to me, and then everything fixes itself, like it appears to have for Max. No considerable damage for the 6 car for the time being, so he will continue along, still in the top 5 spot, but hasn't quite managed to catch up to Justin Lewick. There in the background is Caleb Campbell. Your last car remaining on the lead lap as Tanner Dignard and Jack Hillier have both headed out of this current race. Looks like they're going to wait for race 2 to be in. as then they will get a new car and they'll get a new restart and a fresh outlook on this race at Belle Isle. But Caleb is going to do a good job of letting the two lead lap cars by. Caleb is always one of the more respectful drivers in this series, and he's had some great performances in his own right as of late. Just unfortunate luck preventing him from finishing in the top 10 at Indianapolis, or maybe even better. Tonight, of course, doesn't look like it'll be his night currently, at least not as far as race 1 is considered. There's always race 2, but no, for the time being, he is in 12th, so going to reset for race 2, and again, he's done pretty well at practice this week. He stayed consistent, so always the possibility that the number 13 car will have a much better race 2 and maybe get his, I think, second top 5 of the season. Back to David Pacza as well, just going to keep an eye on him. I know he had an incident earlier in the race, but he's since recovered and is back on track, just trying to stay in a position that'll give him the best starting spot possible for race 2. Again, once you have an incident in this first race, probably for the best that you start thinking big picture and think towards the future. Logan Pacza, I'm seeing on my telemetry, is crashed. He has. The 16 car has crashed. Him and Tanner might make contact, just barely manages to avoid hitting Tanner. Tanner makes evasive maneuvers to avoid him, but what exactly happened to the 16 car of Logan Pacza? Again, he makes mistakes so rarely in this series. It's one of the things that has made him the former Carts to Computers Series champion, and now in the Snowstorm Series, the current points leader. So this is live on board with Logan coming through. That's turn number 5. Or sorry, turn number 4. Makes a little bit of contact with the outside wall. I think maybe couldn't tell if he caught the curb. We'll check one more replay, and then we got to head live back to your live footage. But let's just see that one more time, maybe from Logan's perspective. So this is coming up towards turn number 4. So that's out of turn number 3. That's turn number 4, left-hander. Clips the curb. No, he didn't even do that. Just got a little bit too loose and too wide. Maybe trying to make sure he didn't lose the back end, trying to, work those older tires in a way that wouldn't burn him out too much. So he tried to go wider, caught the wall just a little bit. Seems like the car is back into working condition. I haven't got another notification that he's spun since then, but he is on pit road. So Logan Pacza comes into the pits to repair that 16 car. He just wants to get to the end of the race. But wait, Andrew Bedrossian has also gone out of the race. He's had to jump back to the pits. Considerable damage to the front left of that car. The number 5 was just laps away from his first win of the season. What has happened to the number 5 car? Did he take damage earlier in the straight, or what happened there? Okay, so whoa, that's too fast. But wow, your top 2 drivers, Carl Dronke in the background has also crashed as well. So much to go over, but this is Andrew Bedrossian in the 5 car. What in the world happened there? The car just didn't turn. He came into the final turn right before the start-finish line. You'll see it here again, but he just never turned right. What in the world happened there? Hits the left side off the wall and just pile drives it into turn number 1. Andrew Bedrossian, man, the luck that guy has sometimes is just brutal. He'll head out of the race again. Carl Dronke has also gotten involved in an incident. He's back on track. But look who that leaves in his stead. Trevor Anderson now becomes your race leader. 15 seconds clear of Logan Pacza, who's rejoined the race, is now back to 2nd. Andrew did have to tow back to pit lane, meaning he is going to finish 11th or maybe even further back. He'll get a restart and another chance there in race 2, but what unfortunate luck for Andrew. But Trevor Anderson, current race leader, is going to take the white flag here, looking for his first race win of the season. He would become our 5th different winner of the season if he'd be able to do so. Of course, he was my partner for the 24 Hours of Daytona, well, himself and Woody Mahan, who hasn't been out in the last couple races, so I've got to spend plenty of time with this guy. He's one of the most consistent drivers I've ever seen. Through the late nights of a 24-hour Daytona race, he just never made mistakes, and it's what he had to do in this first race tonight. You saw the issues there with Logan and Andrew making their mistakes towards the end of that last stint, and well, Trevor has not done that same thing. Maybe didn't quite have the pace of the guys ahead of him there at the start, but as I told the guys pre-race in the drivers' meeting, that's not what you need here at Belle Isle. Trevor is proving that some other things are more important, and one of those things is consistency. Caleb now passes Andrew Bedrossian, who still hasn't been able to return to the track there, and the number 5 car in 13th position. Again, he'll get a second chance in race 2, so keep an eye out for Andrew. The pole sitter could come back through the field and go for his first win of the season once again. Justin Lewick and Max Preston still battling it out for the 3rd spot. We're going to keep an eye on that. We'll go to that for just a moment, but then we got to head back to Trevor Anderson. Here comes Justin and Max, still battling it out there. We'll keep an eye on this as they come down towards turn number 6. Justin's still narrowly ahead. Max gets a better run off the corner. But we got to go back to Trevor Anderson. He's had a great season. He's getting more and more top 5s each week as we go by, but the proper circumstances have aligned here at Belle Isle. Trevor Anderson becomes the 5th different winner this season. The 25 car gets his win at Detroit Belle Isle. We'll go to him in a moment, catch some of his celebrations, but for now, Justin Lulick and Max Preston still got to settle 3rd place. Justin loses the back end coming out of turn number 10. Max gets to the back bumper of the number 7 car. The 7 and the 6 going to battle it to the line. Max is in his draft. Can he get the spot from Justin to the line? Justin Lulick pips him out by just a couple tenths. Max almost got him there at the line. Steamrolls the first corner wall, but doesn't matter. The race is over. We'll reset for race 2, and Logan and Justin will round out your podium spots. But, well, I forgot to do it the last couple weeks, but we have a little graphic to put up. There we go. Trevor Anderson, congratulations to your race winner here at Belle Isle in race 1. You know, I've been saying it off track all season that so many guys have the potential to take a win in this series if they can just get the proper set of circumstances. And tonight in race 1, it happened to Trevor Anderson. You saw that Logan and Andrew just made the tiniest mistake trying to push each other to the limits for that top spot. And, well, Trevor took advantage. He's going to do his celebration burnouts here on the Auto Trader section through turns 8 and 9. Congratulations to Trevor Anderson. He will be your pole sitter for race 2. There's Logan Pacza, your championship points leader. There's David Pacza going by, and maybe Logan Pacza show his support there for Trevor Anderson. Great guy. He's tried his best all season. He's going to head off the track and get set for race 2. Also, important to mention before we head off to the second race, great recovery there from Logan Pacza. He certainly did not have the easiest go of things there from his perspective. Of course, he had this similar incident to Andrew's as well. But he managed to collect things up, managed to not hit any other cars, came close to making collision with Tanner Dignard, but he survived and is okay for the time being. Let's put up your results there from Heat 1, then we'll get ready to go for your second race of the night here in the doubleheader at Detroit. Now it finally changes the positions. I was trying to increment the positions so it would show everybody on the leaderboard, but now it does it when I don't need it to do that. There we go. Should be all good now. Oh, gotta redisplay it. Sorry about that, ladies and gents. We always have little issues here on these broadcasts, but now we appear to have got it fixed. So let's put up some music once again, and we'll let the drivers do their 5-minute warm-up in between race 1 and 2. But there are your results from race 1 in round 8 at Detroit Belle Isle. Trevor Anderson getting his first win of the season, becomes your 5th different driver to do so. That commanding margin, well, it may not tell the whole story. He was certainly quick, probably the 3rd or 4th quickest guy on track, but really is just his ability to avoid incidents, avoid the other drivers on track, and just keep his nose clean that led him to the win. And Logan Pacza, a guy who did that most of the race, was definitely pushing the car as hard as he could there to keep up with Andrew Bedrossian, your pole sitter. He certainly did so for a while, kept his nose clean, but one tiny mistake in corner number 5 almost put the end to his race. But he was able to recover to second, got the car back to pit road, got his quick repair, and he comes away with a second place position. Justin Lulick after that in third, getting his first podium of the season, important to mention as well. So we have a first winner and a first podium this year. Congratulations to Justin Lulick. He saw just barely beating out Max Preston there for the 3rd spot. Max Preston, who did finish 4th, had a Marshall Crocker Sr. finishing in 5th. Didn't even notice that, but the 15 car gets his first top 5 of the season, so congratulations to my dad. Great first race from him. We'll see if he can carry that over into race 2. Then Manuel Guerra finishing in 6th. Andrew Bedrossian did return to the track. Looks like my overlay and graphics just lied to me there, so he will finish in 7th place. Not nearly as bad as it would suggest, but, you know, Andrew, for how quick he was, probably would have wanted more for himself. But hey, not a bad performance at all. That'll give him good enough points to keep up with Logan into race 2, and we'll see what he can do about getting through the field in that second half of the doubleheader. Rich Foligno finishes in 8th, rounding out the drivers on the lead lap. Carl Dronke is then in 9th, the first driver a lap down. Of course, last week's winner at Indianapolis. Tons of speed here at Detroit Belle Isle. Again, as I mentioned earlier, he does have the record here in a different car, the overall lap record on iRacing. So the guy knows the track like the back of its hand. Let's see if he can use that to his advantage in race 2. John Guerra will round out your top 10 in race 1. David Pacza and Tanner Dignard in 11th and 12th. Caleb Campbell, your last driver to finish... No, that's not true. He was, 13th there, 2 laps down. I was going to say your last driver to finish a lap down, but he's just barely 2 laps down, so we'll see if he can recover in race 2. 13 car finishes in 13th, then Jack Hillier in 14th rounds out your field in the number 18 car. We're going to head to a quick commercial break. We'll throw you on to the footage of a driver for a couple minutes as I get a drink of water. We'll be back for race 2, and we are halfway through tonight's coverage, so congrats to Trevor on his first win, congrats to Justin on the first podium, and we'll get ready and set for an even better, hopefully, second half of tonight's festivities and round number 8 of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series season. And with the conclusion of race number 1 and our little mid-race warm-up, we are now ready to go for the starting lineup for race number 2 to get the second half of tonight's round 8 doubleheader underway. Trevor Anderson will now become your new pole sitter, but let's put up the results from last race as I guess the grid for this race. Let's just show that. So this will be the starting grid for race number 2. We of course don't have a traditional grid grid display there because not technically a qualifying result. So there is the results from last race. Trevor Anderson will start on the front row as your pole sitter after winning race 1, but Logan Pacza will be his outside, of course the championship points leader, starting exactly where he started in race number 1. Justin Lulick will have Max Preston to him on the outside of row number 2, just as we did at the start of tonight's race. Marshall Crocker will now move up to 5th on the restart with Manuel Guerra to his outside. Andrew Bedrossian will start from 7th with Rich to his outside in 8th. Carl Dronke and John Guerra in row number 5. David Pacza and Tanner Dignard in row number 6. And Caleb and Jack Campbell and Hillier respectively in row number 7. Let's get this down, let's get your graphics up, and we are ready to go for the start of race number 2 tonight in the doubleheader at Detroit for round number 8 of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series season. Trevor waiting on the green flag. It now flies. There goes Trevor Anderson. Green flag here at Detroit Belle Isle. Side by side go Anderson and Pax into the first corner. Logan might get him clean into corner number 1. Trevor just did not get the jump he would have wanted if he wanted to keep that lead. He gets through turn number 1, but not quite turn number 2 and 3. Logan Pacza takes the lead through turns number 2 and 3. Now side by side go Trevor Anderson and Max Preston. These drivers just trying to get whatever spot they can. Justin's going to send it to the inside there in the number 7 car. He'll move up to 2nd. Max avoids the outside wall there. He'll move up to 3rd, but Trevor's still peeking on the inside. He's to the inside of Andrew Bedrossian, who's also going to get him. So Trevor Anderson has fallen back there. Was on the pole in this race after winning race 1, but 4 guys getting past him in the first couple of corners. I guess he's just trying to get his tires up to temp and hoping to do what he did in race 1. Now here's Andrew Bedrossian off to a flying start there in the number 5 car. He's already up 3 spots from the start of this race, right on the back bumper of Max Preston's number 6 car. The timing tower is off. We'll be sure to get that up for you. Makes contact. That was Max Preston and Andrew Bedrossian making contact. Andrew Bedrossian's night goes from bad to worse. Almost won Heat 1. Coming down the backstretch into turn number 6. Huge wreck with Max Preston. Shoots in the air. Yellow flag has come out. But what in the world? We got to get a better view of that. How did they get together? I mean, they were pushing each other real close. Max was trying to pressure him towards the wall there to keep his spot, which I get makes sense, but at what point did they make contact? So this is the run down to turn number 6. Oh, just the slightest miscommunication. Andrew just turns in a little bit earlier than Max was expecting, or maybe vice versa. Max turned later than it was expected on his part. So let's see that one more time, but this is one of the more bizarre crashes I've seen all season. So Max is... No, it's not his responsibility to turn quite yet. He's trying to pressure him. He's trying to get a good apex. Andrew just turns in a little bit early. The tiniest miscommunication, and just like that, your pole sitter tonight almost won race 1. Again, we're going to a caution. He'll have time to repair, but horrible luck there from Andrew Bedrossian. Second incident of the night. Just a small racing miscommunication with what's his name? Why am I forgetting his name? Max Preston, who don't discount his issues as well. He was also very close to winning race 1. So, oh man. Those are the incidents you just hate to see. We're now under yellow. Our first of the night, we didn't have a single one in race 1, though we had a couple incidents that maybe could have inspired one. Just going to get everything reset so we can put up your timing tower once again. There we go, that's a little better. Everything is now updated. Andrew Bedrossian is not officially out of tonight's session, so don't listen to that on the graphics. Again, gotta wait for the cars to go past the line once again to get everything to reset. But here are the cars now trying to get their tires warmed up. They didn't really get the chance to do so at the beginning of the first start because, of course, here at Belle Isle, we start there on the backstretch rather than doing the whole lap. It's a very tight track. It'd be hard to do a full warm-up lap all the way around the track. So we start with very little time to warm tires up. Maybe that's the trouble that Trevor Anderson had is, he moved back, as you saw there, from the pole after winning race 1 all the way down to 5th by, I think, corner 4 or 5 pretty early on in the lap. So maybe just didn't get the start he wanted, maybe an intentional move to try to keep his tires safe, or maybe just trying to stay out of the way to do what he did in race 1. And, well, at the end of things with Andrew and Max getting together, he will now start in 3rd on this next restart, which of course isn't the first he started in at the beginning, but that's 2 top, I guess you could call them targets, 2 top competitors in tonight's race already sent back in the pack as a result of that first incident. So his competition in front of him is getting sparse, and that's what he needs if he wants to sweep tonight's event here at Detroit. Would get the full maximum points possible if he were able to do so. Speaking of maximum, or you could just shorten it to max, here is Max Preston there in the number 6 car. You just saw his incident there with Andrew Bedrossian. Kind of uncharacteristic. Max hasn't gotten in a proper crash here in this series. I'm trying to think of a time all season. That may be his first of the year, so he's kept his nose fairly clean there. Just a high level of racing there with Andrew. Two guys just get really competitive like Max was trying to do, trying to squeeze him as best he could, and well, just the tiniest miscommunication will make his race a little bit tougher. Now he's going to head down pit road, presumably to fix some of the damage that he sustained in that last incident, so hopefully he's able to do so rather quickly. Andrew Bedrossian's still in the pits, it would seem, so he would have had to tow back into the pits, but he has not returned to the track since that incident, so hoping for the best for Andrew. Again, the guy was the pole sitter tonight. I know how much work he puts into this series, and to see him do so well tonight, to dominate so much of that first heat and not come away with a win would be brutal for sure. So let's hope for the best here. The music is now off. Sorry about that. I left it on through the first couple corners of that first lap. So that is off. We should be all good to go. But that's probably the best opportunity to ask, because we do have one more lap, and then the lights in the pace car are off, then another lap under yellow. So we will go green at the start of lap 5. It'll be an 11-lap dash to the finish. But I'll throw it to all you guys. Logan Pacza, your championship points leader, was second in qualifying. Now, once again, going to restart on the pole, or at least from the pole position. Hasn't done so in a while in this series, actually. I don't think he did so at Indianapolis last week. Him and Matt Clark kind of had to work their way up from the back there at Indianapolis in the double points event. So Logan back at the head of the field for the first time in a little while, but he's always a favorite to win. It's the reason he's won 4 races this season and is your championship points leader. But don't discount a guy like, Justin Lulick. I mean, starting in second, you saw that huge move he made down the inside in turn number 3 on that very first lap that got both Trevor and Max moving him up to second. He is not afraid to make big moves, and maybe we'll see something similar in there in this first lap as he tries to get not only his first podium of the season that he got there in race 1, but now going to try to get even quicker and get his first win in race number 2. Speaking of first win, Trevor Anderson, who just got his first win of the season a moment ago, going to try to do the same trick, make lightning strike twice here in race number 2. With that number 25 entry, he's going to move up through the championship points as well. I think he was already in 6th prior to that first win, so it's been a great season for Trevor. He's moving his way through the points, and so is Max Preston. A couple of guys making their way up the timing sheet as the season goes on. Sorry, point sheet, I should say. They're making their way up through the timing sheet tonight, but that is not a term that would accurately describe the entire season. Here is Carl Dronke. Again, I talked about his experience here at Belle Isle earlier in the broadcast. Again, he does hold the lap record here in the Skip Barber car. Remember the Skip Barber we used to run in the Cards to Computer series? He has the record at this track in that car. We actually raced in a casual Skip Barber series that I used to put together, and we had a race here at Belle Isle. And he did great in that race. He dominated the field pretty good. He set a good benchmark for me to try to approach in that race, and I couldn't do so. He beat me then, and he'd probably beat me again now if we did a rematch, but his experiences seem to carry over to the Indy Pro. He was quick in qualifying, he was quick through practice this week, and definitely could have come close to a podium there in race 1 had it not been for an incident he suffered. So always got to keep an eye out for here at any race, no matter what discipline you run at Belle Isle. So keep an eye out for Carl Dronke to get his second podium in back-to-back weeks after winning at Indianapolis. Marshall Crocker, though, is a guy that, when it comes to getting his first podium of the season, sorry, we just got to go to him. When it comes to getting his first podium of the season, I can't think of a much better opportunity he's had in quite a while. He came a turn away from maybe even winning it at Indianapolis last week, and then a crash in the last corner with Tim Salvatore put an end to his efforts, but now he comes back tonight, hoping to get revenge in that number 15 car, not necessarily on Tim Salvatore, who isn't here. No bad blood, I'm sure, from that incident there last week, as I don't necessarily think it was anybody's fault. It was just unfortunate luck for him at the end of that last race. So now he's going to try to recover tonight, return to Belle Isle, and after finishing 5th, his first top 5 of the season in race 1, if he can hope for another similar bit of chaotic action up front ahead of him on this next restart, I don't know. First podium of the season could be on the cards. But after that, I was trying to switch up the camera angles a little bit, but this is not a very helpful camera angle to show a specific car. We're going to go look at Rich Foligno there in the number 99 car, starting in 6th on this next restart. Had a good season for himself, but he just seems to have terrible luck sometimes. It's one thing that Rich has always had be the case throughout this series. He just seems to have races where nothing will go his way, and whenever he needs, fate to work with him to get a good race result, it just doesn't usually decide to. But he's got plenty of talent. He's got plenty of consistency on his good days. So we'll see if this is one of those. Another guy similar to Marshall Crocker that, depending on how things go up front, could be looking at his first podium of the season. Behind him, Tanner Dignard there in the number 22 car. He's moved up considerably since qualifying, so he's making his way through the field there. Sorry, in the 55 car. He looks like the 22 car of Joey Logano, who will be running this Sunday's Daytona 500. So, as somebody who's been preparing for that, for a party he's putting together, it all starts to blend together. So, there's Tanner Dignard there, again starting in 7th in the 55 car. It'll be interesting to see what he can do in this last 11-lap dash to the finish in race 2 here at Belle Isle. Manuel Guerra, the first of the two Guerras, starting in 8th. Again, another guy who's moved up through the field since qualifying, doing rather well for himself. He has moved up to 8th. Behind him, Caleb Campbell there in 9th, who's moved up 3 spots since the qualifying session where he started, I think, 12th. Yeah, he was 12th. So he's moved up 3 spots since then. He's doing well for himself. And another guy that, if he can just keep it consistent like he does every week in our weekly practices, could be looking at a top 5. John Garrett, the second of the Guerras, in the top 10. He was doing pretty well for himself in the first heat, but I think he got involved in an incident after battling with his brother Manuel. So I don't know if he hit Manuel or anything, but I think he got involved in some sort of wreck. So he moved back down the order a little ways. Jack Hillier there starting in 11th with Max Preston behind him in 12th. Of course, finished 4th there in the first heat. Came very close to making his way up to 1st there in the start of this last heat, but he's got some work to do from 12th in the field. David Pacza there in 13th. And Andrew Bedrossian, your pole sitter, who was leading most of the first race, has yet to return to tonight's event, and I kind of worry he will be out for the rest of it. So, well, if that's the case, absolute shame. If Andrew, if you're watching, man, that was brutal. That was one of the toughest moments he's had all season. And man, once Andrew gets that first win that he's come so close to so many times, it'll be triumphant for sure. But green flag for the third time tonight at Detroit Belle Isle. The first caution restart here in race 2. Justin Lewick not too far behind there in the number 7 car, but didn't get the jump he would have liked to make a move here through corner number 3. He's going to be in the draft, but he's going to have to make his way significantly down the straight if he wants to make the move. Carl Dronke in the background there already drops to 13th. He went around in corner number 3, just lost the back end on cold tires. Justin Lewick has crashed. Justin and Logan have crashed, even more so. What happened to the 7 in the 16 car? So here's Justin Lewick. Cold tires, as I just mentioned. Just couldn't check the car up in time. Just slides into the back of Logan Pacza. Logan says, I am not waiting around here to see what happens. I'm getting out of Dodge. There is Rich Foligno, who hits Tanner Dignard as well. No caution that I can see live, but man, a chaotic start to this race as well. Logan's back on track. Justin's back up to speed too. So, well, despite that incident, they actually seem to be rather decent for repair. Max Preston has moved up to 5th already. Has dropped back down to 6th live. But do you know what that does as we go live? That puts Trevor Anderson race... Oh, we do have a caution. Okay, second caution of the race. But coming up towards the second caution after Logan's incident with Justin, as well as Tanner and Rich Foligno getting together. Both guys appear to be up to speed, but Rich has gone immediately to the pits. Tanner should be able to get that pretty damaged number 55. I keep calling him the 22. The 55 car seems to be able to get his car back to the pits, which will save him a little bit of time. Should put him a little bit higher up the grid order as we go to our second restart of the race. But this will probably put us back to green with, if I had to guess, maybe even 6 laps to go. So Trevor Anderson, if he wants to sweep tonight's event at Belle Isle, he's got the scenario to do so. Now you're once again your race leader. And I talked about it not too long ago, but again, here at Belle Isle or any track like this, I tell guys this before the race in our drivers meetings, but you just got to survive. You just got to let things happen, let the race be, see how things go, and you might be able to come away with a win out of nowhere, or even a podium, even if you don't feel quick necessarily running the layout. And it's what's happened to Trevor. It might give him a second race win of the night. Not to say that Trevor hasn't been fast. He's been great in practice. He was running great quick times, and he had a great time in qualifying. But when you have guys like Logan Pacza and Andrew Bedrossian in our series, the bar is just set so high for what you have to do in terms of pace to beat some of those top guys for wins. But in some tracks, you just got to be the smoothest guy out there. You just got to have that mindset of like, okay, I just got to survive. You got to stay safe, and you just got to be comfortable with the car. And that's one thing that I've been so impressed with Trevor's ability to do all season. It got him a win in race 1, and now he is probably the heavy favorite to win race 2 now with his track position. 2 other guys I want to talk about who now move into the podium spots looking for their first podium of the season. Marshall Crocker Sr. there in the number 15 car, moving to the old vintage Williams car scheme. I didn't know what it was. I had to look it up, but that is an old Williams F1 car. He now moves up to second, and Caleb Campbell moves up to third, up 9 spots from qualifying all the way to third. So he has made a huge comeback now as the 13th car. He's kept his nose clean in terms of avoiding all the chaos going on around him with other guys battling for top spots. And with Logan Pacza and Justin Lulick both having to pit because of their damage, they move to the back of the line. Max Preston still a big threat there in the 4th position in the 6th car, as he does always tend to be in these sort of races. Of course, finished 4th there in the first race, came very close to the podium, and has now worked his way through the field once again. So he's definitely a guy that I think could try to track down Trevor Anderson there in that top spot, work his way through the field, and hopefully, at least hopefully from his perspective, get his 2nd win of the season. But again, I wouldn't discount Marshall Crocker and Caleb Campbell's abilities to defend, so they're going to want their first podium of the season bad, especially seeing Trevor get his first win of the season and Justin get his first podium. It just kind of feels like some new results are up in the air. The feeling of, anything is possible, anything can happen, is at least the vibe I'm starting to get. And if the drivers are thinking the same way, this might be the time to start really, betting on yourself and going for your first win of the season, or at least your first podium in the case of the 15 and the 13. Manuel Guerra, who is also in the top 5 as well. 2 guys are looking to pull out a line and head into the pits there. That is Tanner Digner and Carl Dronke are going to head into the pits. So David Pacza is going to move up to 6th with his son Logan Pacza right behind him. So 2 Paxas in 6th and 7th respectively, once Logan cycles out ahead of Tanner Digner. Now he does, so does Justin Lulick. So Justin Lulick will round out your top 8. Carl Dronke is in the pits, Tanner Digner is in the pits, Jack Hilliard's in the pits, Rich Foligno is in the pits, and John Guerra is in the pits. Rich Foligno appears to be leaving the pits currently. We've temporarily lost footage. Don't know the reason for that. Okay, we're back. I guess Rich Foligno is having internet issues or something like that, because it said he was live and he wasn't. So, well, it's at least good to know it's not me. Hopefully you guys haven't been having too many issues with internet dropouts throughout the race. I haven't had any on my end, so things are all good. An exciting announcement from the broadcast perspective. I have... It's been a while of speculation that I might, but I finally got a new PC proper. Something a little bit more high tech, a little bit more pushing the standards than the laptop I run with. So going forward in this series, hopefully going to be here before next week's race. But with all that new tech, going to be able to show more detail in the broadcast. Things are going to look clear. Going to be able to show more advanced graphics. Going to be able to run more things at once. I think the quality of the broadcast should just go up all things considered, at least from the production side going forward. So hopefully that's an exciting announcement, and hopefully that's as exciting for me, getting a new proper PC to use as well as it is for you guys. So between the internet work in these last couple weeks, new broadcast equipment that is more powerful, I think it's going to be a good rest of the season, at least from the broadcast perspective, and hopefully all of you guys at home are going to enjoy it for the rest of the 2020-2021 Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series season. And man, what a race we've had so far. I mean, you talk about race 1, it was looking pretty, cut and dry there at the start. It looked like we were probably going to have a pretty traditional top 3. Andrew was going to get his first win of the season. That definitely would have been something. But, Logan Pacza in second. Those guys have finished on the podium so many times this season. They've just been absolutely on rails throughout the entire calendar year. They've just been on a different tier, truly, in terms of pace. But after that, it's there's a bunch of guys that can always fight for that 3rd spot. Max Preston's had a couple, Trevor Anderson's had a couple, Woody Mahan used to have a couple, but he's missed the last couple races, so hopefully he's able to make it out before the end of the year. Tim Salvatore as well, who misses his first race of the season tonight. He's leading the series in top 5s coming into tonight, so we know he's got the consistency to make something happen in terms of getting into the top 3 or maybe even higher. Unfortunately, won't be able to do it tonight, but he's one of those types. But really, it was looking like a traditional race 1. Looked like we were going to have another one of those finishes. But then, of course, those small mistakes from both Logan and Andrew meant that, well, things got considerably more interesting. And now as we get ready to go one more lap for the pace car, as you see the lights are still on, we should restart with, I believe, 7 laps to go in race number 2 of our doubleheader here at Detroit. And again, might crown some new podium finishers and might crown a new winner here. Of course, Trevor Anderson can no longer take that new winner title. As for those of you that have been watching the entire broadcast, he did win race 1, dropped back to 5th there on the start of his first restart, so it's not like he's been up here all of race 2. But he's recovered, he's got back to the spot, and the lights on the pace car should head off as it passes the start-finish line. It does, so 1 lap to go until the green. I'd imagine we will not be throwing any more cautions this race unless we have a monumental... How many cars are left in the race? 12. If we have a 12-car collision, we might get another caution, but I talked to a race director, Vince, before the race, and we both agreed that we really didn't want... we wanted minimal cautions, let's say, because shorter races here at Belle Isle means that the more time you can spend under green, the better. Again, more of a bite-sized broadcast here in tonight's race at Belle Isle, but, well, the 2 races being shorter I thought was going to make the action, even more fast-paced, even more frantic, and it has for the most part, but really I think if anything it's meant that this is more of a race of, again, attrition than anything, and it's not like one of those longer races that where you're at a tough track for a long period of time, so keeping the car on track the entire race is tough. It's more so that you feel so pressured to run as quick as you can, to run lap after lap, quick times. And even top guys, again, you saw both Logan and Andrew just got, I wouldn't say in their own way, but they just both had their own issues in race 1 because of how hard they were trying to push it to win on pace. And that's the right way to win if you are confident in your abilities. But again, Trevor Anderson, who's kind of kept himself to a more reasonable level, is going for performance rather than quality, if you want to use the technology analogy for it. But he's just run at the pace he knows he can run lap after lap, and it's worked for him. It's put him, in the winners column for the first time this year, and now it's put him in the top spot heading into the third restart of race 2. So it's worked for him. It's I'm sure what's going to work for whoever wins this second heat. And I can't wait to see how we round off race 2. So again, hopefully all of you guys are enjoying tonight's 8th round of the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series season at Detroit Belle Isle in our doubleheader. Just going to talk about next week briefly as the cars head through the final couple of corners to get ready for our final restart. But next week we head to Oulton Park Circuit, or Oulton Park Raceway. It goes by one of the two. It switches back and forth. But Oulton Park is a track more reminiscent of probably more like Mossport, Lime Rock than anything else. But it's I think our first British track of the season. We're going to go to 2 British circuits this year, both Oulton Park and Silverstone. But Oulton Park is an amazing track. Anybody that's practiced for it ahead of next week's race has said it's awesome. I love it so much. It's great for passing. It's not a particularly tricky track, but it's got some high-speed sections. It's going to be a great race. So hopefully you all can make it out to next week's race at Oulton Park. Hopefully it'll be somewhere in between the usual longer broadcast and something like this, as I know I don't want to keep you guys in the broadcast too long, so hopefully tonight is a better bite-sized piece of action. But I can't wait for next week's race. Hopefully we got the new PC. Hopefully we can turn up the graphics a little bit, and I can't wait for round number 9. But for now, we got round number 8 to settle. The pace car is about to take the hard right on to pit road with its lights off. Trevor Anderson is going to lead the field to green here for the 3rd time in this race, the 4th time overall. The pace car is on pit road. Trevor Anderson is the control car. Green flag here at Detroit Belle Isle for the second half of the round number 8 doubleheader in the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series season. To begin lap number 9, we got 7 laps left in tonight's race. Logan Pacza makes the move on Carl Dronke almost immediately further back in the field. He's going to look to work his way through and get back to the podium like in race 1. But Trevor Anderson through turns 1 and 2 is just taken off. Who is that? Manuel Guerra has slid through turn number 2. This is a horrible camera angle. The stupid trees, as many of you that have watched for a long time are more than familiar with. But we got to keep our eyes up front. This is Caleb Campbell and Max Preston battling for second. So Max Preston moves all the way up to second the first turn. He's moved up. Caleb Campbell's moved up to the podium spot. Marshall Crocker's gone around further back in the 15 car. Through turn number 4, just lost the downforce in the front end as he followed in behind Preston and Campbell, and so close again to his first podium of the season. Got his first top 5 in race 1, but that is not what the what the 15 car Marshall Crocker wanted at all. Justin Lewis got damage as well. What happened to the 7 car? So much chaos there in lap 1 as we've seen all race, but Caleb Campbell still in the 3rd place position, looking for his first podium of the season. He's trying to hold off Logan Pacza, keeping the car nice and slow through this section. I mean, honestly, if he's able to defend like that and he doesn't get in Paxa's way, more power to him. Paxa will get by on the inside, though. Logan Pacza back up into the top 3, fighting for his second podium of the night and maybe even his first win of the doubleheader. So that'll move David Paxa up to 5th after all that chaos in lap 1. Now he's going to try to track down Caleb Campbell. He's had 4th a couple of times this season, but he hasn't done better than that. Maybe David will put himself on the podium for the first time this season in tonight's race. But now 6 laps to go as we cross the line this time. Tanner Dignard is right ahead of Carl Dronke, again a guy who's very experienced here at Belle Isle. Certainly going to be trying to make the move this time into turn number 3. He gets a much better run off of turn number 3, so Carl Dronke will make the move in the number 38 car on the 55 of Tanner Dignard. But back up a little ways in the field, Trevor Anderson is just trying to take off there in the 25 car. Only a couple more laps. He's got to keep that thing on track to win the doubleheader here at Belle Isle. And man, to sweep your first 2 wins in the same doubleheader race would be just a dominant performance from the 25 car. And again, he seemed really quick here at Detroit all week, but I know it didn't seem like one that he'd be particularly in favor of. I never heard that he was a master of Belle Isle or anything. But man, he's just had the pace to back up his ability to keep the car clean, and that's what you need if you want to win tonight's race. Trevor's still in the lead currently, but Carl Dronke there, he's going to lose the back end, trying to keep his spot in the top 5. David Pacza shoots the middle. Did you see that? Nice quick thinking there by David Pacza, perfectly putting the car in between Tanner Dignard and Carl Dronke. Carl is back up to speed, avoided the wall, so might be able to try to work his way back into the top 5. Justin Lewick, who still has damage. You see the front nose of that number 7 car still wiggling around. He is having troubles there, keeping that car on track with how little downforce it has. Probably wants to go to the pits and get that thing repaired. Never saw what happened there at the beginning of that last restart. But we're back up here. Almost immediately, Logan makes the move on Max Preston. I didn't even get time to talk about the battle, so Logan is on rails here. The 16 car is just flying, looking for his 5th win of the season. He is going quick, and Max will surely settle for another podium in this season's campaign. He's just narrowly avoided by thousandths of a second there in race 1 of getting 1, so I'm sure he'll gladly settle for 3rd in race 2. But Trevor Anderson, if he wants to take his 2nd win of the night, he has just got to pull away from the 16 of Logan Pacza. He's getting the car around the track, but let's just put up a time comparison of these two drivers last time by. On lap number 10, Logan ran 8/10 quicker than Trevor, and that included the pass there on Max. So it's 5 laps to go last time by. It'll be 4 to go this next time by the stripe. There's time, man, but Trevor, if he can just keep that thing on rails as he has all race and keep quick, he's going to have to push his pace there later in this race. As you know, Logan is probably the most consistently quick guy in the series other than Andrew in terms of race pace. So if there was a guy you don't want chasing you down, it's one of those two gentlemen. So it'll definitely push his limits a little bit, and Trevor's going to have to earn his 2nd win of the night. But man, this is the battle you like to see if you're a Trevor Anderson fan. This would prove his talents more than anything else. David Pax has also gone around. He's got damage to the front left of that car. We'll quickly go to that replay as we wait for the battle up front to progress. So there's a wing sitting on the outside of the track. He hit the inside of the track. So the car is in good condition coming out of turn number 5. Onto the backstretch, gets in the power, and just loses the back end. I'm not sure if it was, maybe scuffed the tires earlier in the lap, or it wasn't in dirty air or anything. So, well, that shows you just how fickle these Indy Pro cars can be. Justin Lewick coming up on him. The 7 car has to avoid the 53. He will get under him, so Justin Lewick is going to move up to 8th for the time being. But back to this battle for the lead. Got to keep an eye here. Now they are both able to be shown in the same camera shot, so 2.5 seconds separating the 25 and the 16 car. 4 laps to go that last time by. Now 3.5 laps to go in tonight's festivities. Trevor again winning race 1, now 2.2 seconds ahead of the championship points leader. If he wants to win race 2, he's going to have to earn it. And you got to wonder, what is his approach to this battle here with Logan? I mean, again, he could just go for the 2nd. I mean, if he just wants to let Logan by, he's well ahead of Max there in 3rd, sitting about 7 seconds ahead of the number 6 car. So he's got plenty of room to work with, but man, imagine the points he could come away with if he slept both races here at Belle Isle. If I'm him, you got to be pushing for the win here, but Logan is getting closer and closer. I think he made up about a whole second there that lap, and now 3 to go this time by. So in terms of pace, he will likely get up to the back of him, and in time, it's just a question of how easy will it be to pass. And it's all going to come down to how much Trevor wants to let him by. If he wants to battle it out and he wants to go for the win, I think Trevor will have the ability to defend from him. But if he just decides to give it up, this thing could be over once Logan catches up to the back of him. Let's go on board with Logan Pacza here in his chase of Trevor Anderson. You see the 16 car has been quick all season. He's your championship points leader for a reason. But Detroit Belle Isle is an entirely new beast, and once he gets in the dirty air there on Trevor, it's hard enough to keep the car on track as is, let alone chasing somebody down at such a high pace. So the 16 is coming, but again, 3 laps to go when we pass the line this last time by. Might be a battle forming there for 4th position with Caleb Campbell, who's in his season best position there in 4th, trying to defend from Carl Dronke. We'll go back to that in just a moment. Tanner Dignard has passed. Either he passed Justin Lewick or Manuel passed him. That battle for 6 is a little bit confusing, but very close. We'll go back and check that out in just a moment as well. Caleb Campbell might be about to get passed by Carl Dronke, so we'll head back to that for the moment. They are on the backstretch. Here's the live onboard feed with Carl Dronke coming up towards turn number 6. Carl's just going to take the safe move, let Campbell take the line into corner number 6. We'll go back to that in just a moment, but here is the battle with Trevor and Logan, now on board with Trevor Anderson, as he muscles his way through the final turn here at Belle Isle. 2 laps to go when he crosses the line. Logan is still within reach, now within reach of the draft, but the problem with the slipstream is, again, as we saw at the beginning of this race, with guys having trouble getting in the slipstream and then getting the car woed up for turn number 3, it can be tough to keep your your hands moving fast enough to keep the car under you without oversteering. So this is where the pure driving talent comes into effect. This is where, you know, safety and the ability to keep the car on track and your ability to stay consistent go out the window. This is all about pace. This is about pure racing, and Logan is just sending that thing into corners. You see just briefly clipping the outside there through turn number 4. So he is pushing the car as hard as he can. A couple lap cars here up ahead of Trevor. How is Trevor Anderson going to deal with the lap traffic? Logan again getting closer and closer. We're going to go white flag next time by. Carl Drunke has made the move on Caleb Campbell. Tanner Digner has gone back to the pits after an incident, so Marshall Crocker, David Pacza, and John Garrett will all move up a spot. But we got to keep our eyes on this battle here. Trevor Anderson is now within 4/10 of Logan Pacza. 2 lap cars up ahead. That's Marshall Crocker and David Pacza. Pacza hits Crocker. Now Pacza's going to move out of the way to the outside. This battle continues on. 1 to go next time by. I think Logan thought about a move to the inside, but just not quite the time to do it. You've got a whole lap. Save your move. Trevor's just got to keep his eyes forward, though, and hit his marks, and he's going to be white flag next time by. These are the races that separate the best from the rest, and Trevor Anderson can try to prove himself in this race. Logan is in the slipstream once again. Is Trevor going to defend the inside into turn number 1? Logan's going to send it. White flag here at Belle Isle. Logan sends it to the inside, but Trevor's still on the inside of the line. Isn't going to get the run he needs, but is still going to be to the inside. Can Trevor get the draft and try to get his second win of the night here on Logan? Still right behind him. The 25 car's not giving up. Goes to the outside. He's going to try the over-under into turn number 3. Logan's going to defend the apex, but Trevor's still right there. Now if I'm him, just keep the car right behind and try to save your move until corner number 6 on the backstretch. Logan, though, nails the corner there. Logan Pacza is back in the lead, looking for his first win in the last couple weeks, his 5th of the season. But Trevor Anderson's got one more chance here down the backstretch. Nails the apex on the turn. It's going to be close if he can get the proper run he needs. Might be able to make up the time to Logan, but it is going to be close. Trevor is doing his best to make up the time. He again, one race won. Could sweep the weekend here at Belle Isle. But Logan keeps the lead here through corner number 6. Now through this Auto Trader section, corner number 7. Trevor's right on the back bumper of him. If he can keep it right behind around through corners number 9 and 10, might be able to get him coming up to the line. Gets actually a better run off the corner. Trevor Anderson and Logan Pacza. He just barely misses the outside wall. Logan is taken off, though. He's got a couple tenths there through that corner. Trevor, I think, is just too far behind. Lap car of Jack Hillier up ahead. Hopefully this doesn't change the race result. No, Jack's going to head to the inside. This thing is over. Logan Pacza. 5th time this season he's done so. Logan Pacza in the 16 car will win race 2 at Belle Isle, just narrowly beating out Trevor Anderson. What a battle to the finish for those two gentlemen. Now here's Max Preston on David Pacza. Through the final corner, Max gets his first podium of the night, and I believe his 5th of the season. Great race from the 6 car. Carl Drunke will finish in 4th as he comes around the final couple of corners. Caleb Campbell will get his first top 5 of the season. Came narrowly close to the podium, but guys like Logan and Max wanted their way back in there, so they bumped him out, but great race overall from Caleb. He will finish in 5th. Great points day for him, swerving and driving back around. He's happy to finish where he did. Justin Lewick in the 7 car had some damage at the start of this race, got it repaired, and has since recovered to 6th. Justin will come around the final couple of corners here. For 6th place, Manuel Guerra, just a couple corners behind him, in 7th as he comes out of the final turn. David Pacza will finish 8th. John Garrett will finish 9th. Marshall Crocker, we saw that incident with David Pacza just a minute ago. He will finish 10th. But let's head back up to Logan Pacza's feed. He always does some celebratory donuts, so let's go to his camera right now and put up the graphic that I've been forgetting to put up this last couple weeks, but I promised myself I would remember to tonight. Oh, that's not it. There we go. Sorry, we briefly showed a not it graphic, but here we go. Logan Pacza's donuts for the first time in a couple weeks for his 5th win of the season. He's certainly came close to a win there in Indianapolis earlier in the season. If he'd just gotten a little bit more luck there with Matt Clark, his drafting buddy. The two guys were kind of put behind the 8 ball early in Indianapolis and weren't able to make up the time they needed, but now he'll do it. Logan Pacza, 5th win of the season. We'll go to his interview very shortly. But congratulations to the 16 car. What a race. 5th win of the season. He's going to extend his points lead even further. But Trevor Anderson, through the power of a win in race 1, a second in race 2. He's going to have a great points day in the 25 car. Might even move back up into the top 3 with Tim Salvatore missing tonight's race. It is a genuine possibility, but let's get all your graphics off the screen. Show your final feature race results in race 2, and get ready for your race 2 interviews to round out tonight's broadcast. Oh, we got to put up the... Sorry, Logan, congratulations on your win, but we do have to take down your winner's graphic for just a moment. Let's just get your music up. There we go. Now we are all set for tonight's race 2 results. Your race winner in race number 2, just narrowly beating out Trevor Anderson in a last lap battle, is Logan Pacza, your points leader in the 16 car. Trevor Anderson coming across the line second, again only half a second behind Logan. Great battle to the finish for those two gentlemen. Trevor will come away with great points tonight after winning race 1, his first career win in this series, and his, I think, third career podium tonight. He had 1 coming into tonight and comes out of tonight with 3. Great race tonight from Trevor in the 25. But after that, Max Preston getting his 5th podium of the season in the number 6 car. He continues his kind of rampage he's been on in the series lately. He's just been absolutely dominant every round. Had a 4th in the 3rd race, 3rd in the 2nd. Not a bad day at all for the 6th car. But Carl Dronke there in 4th in the number 38 car. Had some positions to make up there in race 2, but he got a quick repair early in the race and didn't look back after that, passing every car he needed to, including Caleb Campbell late in the race to take 4th. But Caleb Campbell, who I just mentioned, coming away with his first top 5 of the season. Congratulations to Caleb. I know always has plenty of support there in the chat, and he does his very best, attends as many practices as he possibly can. Can't think of a more deserving driver to get their first top 5 of the season in tonight's event. And now Caleb has done so. So congratulations to the 13 car. Justin Lillick there, he's going to finish 6th in the number 7 car. Of course, he got his first podium of the season in race 1, so the potential to interview him is there. I gave the offer to anybody that got their first podium or win in round 1, or sorry, race 1 of tonight's festivities, that they could feel free to come out and do an interview if they please. So we will see if we are able to talk to Justin Lillick. We'll see if he inquires about that. Sorry, we're just going to take the graphic down very quickly and put it back up because I forgot to update race 2. There we go. But Manuel Guerra will finish 7th, the final car in the lead lap here tonight. That's an impressive achievement for sure, seeing as how many drivers had trouble even after that last restart. In only a 6 lap period, I think 3 guys got another wreck and 1 a lap down. So Manuel Guerra comes away with good points there in 7th as a result of just keeping that number 12 car clean. David Paxa finishes in the 8th spot in the 53 car. John Guerra in 9th in the 11. Marshall Crocker, who again came so close to a top 3, just narrowly losing the back end there through corner number 4 on that final restart. Definitely could have seen a Caleb Campbell and Marshall Crocker podium there towards the end. Just guys were hungry for spots, and just the tiniest mistake can be brutal here at Belle Isle. So he will have to settle for a top 10 tonight in the number 15 car. Tanner Dignard will finish 11th in the 55. Jack Hillier will finish 12th in the number 18. Rich Felino left the second race early in the number 99, so he'll come away with 13th place points. And Andrew Bedrossian, man, pole sitter tonight once again, same as most port, starts on the pole and finishes last in the final race. But man, we shouldn't discount the race he had. He came just laps away from winning race 1. Started race 2, had some troubles early on, got in that wreck there with Max Preston, where Max was able to recover back to the podium, but unfortunately Andrew just never returned to the event. So he will settle for 14th place points, might move down in the points a little bit, but still going to be in contention for the championship lead if he can just rattle off a couple wins that he's come so close to all year. I would by no means count out the possibility. But I got to take a quick drink before we get to the interviews. This has been a one commercial kind of night, which is good because it's meant that things kind of flow pretty quickly. Tonight's broadcast went by pretty quick with the races not taking all too long, but it can be brutal on your throat. So I'm just going to take a quick drink of water and get ready to go for our first interview of the night, with 3rd place finishing. Actually, I should check if Justin's in the booth. He is. So we'll go to Justin. We'll see if he wants to do an interview. And then we'll come back in just a moment. Well, the water is drinking, my throat is in a much less inflamed condition, so we are ready for your first interview of the night. He may not have finished on the podium in race 2, but he did finish in 3rd in race 1, getting his first podium of the season. And as such, we are going to talk to Justin Lillick before we talk to your 3 podium finishers. Here is Justin Lillick. Hey Justin, it's Marshall up in the booth. You got me?
You, Marshall.
I'm doing great, and I mean, tonight was a chaotic race for sure. There was all sorts of action in both races, but it's a pleasure to talk to you once again, getting your first podium of this season in race number 1, and what a battle you had there with Max. Just kind of walk us through the end of that first race. I know you two know each other well, you know each other's styles. What was going through your head, and what did you know about Max to try to get you a leg up in defending him in race 1?
Well, I think the biggest thing first is, as you pointed out, Max and I go back years and years and years. We've competed against each other and with each other all across North America, essentially. And just over that time together, I really learned his racing style. I really learned how he drives. But even more than that, I know the kind of driver he is in terms of how safe he is. He's not going to go for a move that's going to put us both in danger. He's going to really think through his moves and think through his process, and by being able to rely on him driving clean and driving smart, it makes it a lot easier in the front just to keep everything clean together.
Safe drivers seem to breed, safe battles and really exciting racing with other drivers. I know sometimes we have top guys in the series that can get together and cause incidents. We saw it there with Andrew and Max in the second race. But in regards to race 1, I mean, you come out to Belle Isle tonight in the Indy Pro. The Indy Pro, a car that can definitely have oversteering issues, as I'm sure you're no doubt familiar with tonight's race. But here at Belle Isle, where there's just no room for error, did you feel like, confident coming in your ability to go 15 laps without an incident? Did you feel like the car was going to be trouble? And overall, are you happy with how you were able to handle the car tonight?
Well, I think in general, I did not go 15 laps without an incident. In both races, I was unfortunately tangled up in something. But I find that this style of racing on a temporary circuit, as you know, and many at home who are watching may know, this track and this setup is very similar to the Toronto Indy that we have at the Toronto Exhibition every year. And just understanding how a temporary circuit reacts differently to a racetrack, the different way it collects grip, the different places that are going to be dusty. I found it was very similar to my karting experience when I've competed in Las Vegas, which is always a temporary track held in a parking lot. And I think by having experience with that and being close to walls and having a dusty, dirty track, I feel like that prepared me to be able to go into this race and then kind of know what I was getting into.
Right, well, between yourself, Max, and Logan all getting podiums tonight, maybe, that karting side of things and that experience can definitely help here at Belle Isle. I know it was certainly helping me in my practice efforts. It's one of those tracks that really requires quick moving hands, something that's always very important in the karting side of things. But when we come out of tonight's race, you had a good race there at Indianapolis last week. I thought that might be the opportunity to get your first podium of the year, but you do so tonight in an arguably more difficult race here at Belle Isle. We go to Oulton Park next week. I know you've been rattling off appearances here. Hopefully we'll have you the entire rest of the season going forward, but you're making your way up the points here with finishes like these, and we go to Oulton Park next week, which is kind of a more traditional road course, something more similar to Moseport or Lime Rock. I don't remember if did you make it out to Lime Rock? I think you did.
Yeah, I've been at every race except for the first two, I believe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, never mind. So actually, you're good with drop races and everything. So, perfect. Well, I know Lime Rock wasn't broadcasted, but it's very similar to that. So, going there, how much experience do you have with Oulton Park? Is it a track in your wheelhouse? And if not, kind of what are you anticipating for the rest of the year going forward in general?
So I am actually not familiar with Oulton Park. I don't think I've been able to learn the track or practice there yet. But the one thing I did find is with a lot of these races, you really have to be on your toes and ready to react. I mean, I've had quite a few races this season, as you may know, where I've just been caught out by bad luck. No matter what it is, I put the time in for practice, and then unfortunately, as racing usually goes, you have your good days and you have your bad days. So unfortunately, I've seen quite a few incidents just throughout the season, whether that be connectivity issues or being, having people make contact or avoidable accidents and stuff like that. And I find the biggest thing that you just have to focus on as a driver is just putting that out of your head and focusing on what you can do, what you can control, and, basically going from there.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It's a great approach for the whole season. It's I mean, you and a couple other guys had brutal luck this year, so it's so good to see you finally overcome that and have a great, really both races. I know second race was a lot more chaotic, but you still come away with 6th place points, so good points haul for you overall in tonight's event. As you know, it's been a long time since I've talked to you in the interview booth, so it's a pleasure to speak to you again. But I know you always have a great support here on the YouTube side of things. It was a great turnout in the chat tonight, and no doubt many of them were friends and family of yours. So is there anybody you want to thank at home? Any sponsors you want to talk about? Any real-life racing commitments you want to mention? I know it's been a long time since you got to talk about what you're doing on the real side of things in terms of the real racetrack, so this is just your time.
Well, unfortunately, this is the first time I've been here talking to you this season, but I really hope that this is the first of many. You know, I'm really enjoying this series, and I love just what you're able to do to set up this for the drivers, both now and during the beginning of COVID and lockdown. So I think the biggest shout out goes out to you for sure. But other than that, I mean, I have my dad and my mom, dad, and brother all watch at home. So I'm very grateful that they're tuning in. Also, my girlfriend Hillary's in the other room watching, and I'm very happy to have her support as I walk out. And I know her family back home is watching as well. Also, huge shout out to my roommate Jamie. He has been supporting me with every single one of these races, and it's just so awesome to be able to share, you know, the highs and the lows with him as soon as I get out of the sim. So it's really nice to have that support system around me. It's really nice to have the family connection and the friends and everything, and you essentially are the reason that we're able to share that with our family. So thank you very much, Marshall, and thank you for giving us this opportunity to, you know, show off to the people we love.
Awesome. Well, that means so much there, Justin. It's always a pleasure to know that the people at home, as well as you guys on track, are having a great time, and it's been so nice to have you out. I know the unfortunate injury meant you missed the start of the season, but you've recovered from it great. This is the proof of that at your best you can absolutely have a great race, put the car on the podium, and you always have plenty of support, and it's great to see on this side. So it's an absolute pleasure to have you, Justin. Really looking forward to talking to you again the rest of the year. I know you're going to do your best and put your best foot forward. I think you'll pick up on Olton Park pretty quick, so I look forward to seeing how you do next week. But just thank you, Justin. Pleasure to have you back, and we'll see you the rest of the season.
Thank you, Marshall. Once again, hopefully this is the first of many.
Agreed. See you, man.
Okay, have a good night. Thank you.
You too. Well, that'll wrap up your first interview of the night. Haven't talked to Justin Lulick in a long time. It's a pleasure. Always, again, I say this a lot, but it's really true. One of the most well-spoken guys in the series. I say the same thing about Max. Good friends, the two of them, and maybe they're cut from the same cloth. And certainly on track, they find success at very similar frequencies. So maybe there's something to be said about that. But thank you to all of Justin's friends and family for watching. It's always a pleasure to have you guys out. And I know many of you have been following for a long time, so it's really means a lot to me to see some of you guys that have been sticking around since the Carts to Computers days and all the way to this modern series. It's a pleasure to have you all watching at home, so thank you very much. But now we got to get into the proper interviews for race number 2. I almost forgot who finished where in race 1. It's been such a hectic night, but Max Preston will be your first interview of race 2's finishers, so we will pull him into the booth momentarily. Hey Max, it's Marshall in the booth. You got me?
Hey Marshall, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing pretty well. First of all, congratulations, Max, coming away with almost 2 podiums in tonight's race. I know your good friend Justin Lulick just barely pipped you out there in race 1 for one of the closest finishes we've had all season. But you did a great service to your abilities here at Belle Isle tonight. Just to talk about the first race before we talk about your podium in race 2, that battle with Justin, he said that he knows you very well. He said that may have played into how he was trying to defend from you. He trusts you as a very clean driver. So did you kind of have that same opinion of Justin in that battle? You knew that you guys could keep it clean, and what did you know anything about Justin's racing abilities that you were going to maybe use there to make that final move for the podium spot?
Oh yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Justin and I mean, essentially we've grown up racing with each other, whether that's locally, at Hamilton or around the other tracks in Ontario, or whether that's internationally, that's in Las Vegas, Florida, and so on and so forth. So Justin and I know each other's driving styles better. In terms of predictability, I mean, that's probably one of the biggest benefits of having a driver like Justin in a series like this, is that him and I can come to a new format in a new medium, such as sim racing on iRacing here, and we can still visually recognize each other's driving styles, and we can still plan accordingly to battle each other with our driving styles, right? And Justin's a very clean driver, right? He's very aware of his surroundings. He's extremely in tune with exactly what's going on around him, and that's exactly the kind of driver I like myself to be as well. So when it comes to him and I battling out there, it's a mixture of squeezing each other, but not so much where we're going to ruin each other's race. And actually, as we were battling in that first heat, we were talking about that aspect of it, which, some drivers we see haven't learned the critical lesson of racecraft, which is if you're passing somebody or someone's passing you, 100% of the time you want to make sure that both of you are going to finish the race, right? And if the person passing you is faster, then you may as well let them by and try to draft with them up to wherever they're going to be, i.e. Logan in that second heat. So, although I made a mistake, that's a different story. But yeah, I mean, in terms of that battle and that finish, it all came down to Justin and I's experience racing, not only on street courses, such as Las Vegas, but also racing with each other and knowing exactly the limits of each other's racecraft and traction level in the case of tonight's race.
Well, yeah, that experience paid off. You guys had a nice clean battle there at the end of race 1. It was so much fun to watch. And then we, reset into race 2, where, at the start you had a great track position to work with at the beginning. But then you had that incident there with Andrew early in the race. I know you came away with less damage than he did. I think he left the session after that. But then you had to make that comeback after that. Do you just kind of want to walk us through what, from your perspective, happened in that incident with Andrew? And then from there, how were you able to recover all the way back to third from that point on?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first of all, what happened with Andrew and myself is extremely unfortunate, especially in his case. And it's too bad that he couldn't continue his run out. He had all the future for the race, and he should have. So, with that in mind, I mean, when I saw Justin in front of me, Andrew behind me, Andy's he's a fast driver. He's an aggressive driver as well. And when we were trying to make a pass on the outside on lap 1, at the end of that long straightaway there, I mean, I saw him go on the outside. I gave him room so that I wouldn't squeeze him against the wall. And as I was starting to brake, I saw his car coming closer and closer to mine. So all I could do was just try to brake as hard as I could. So I was fully locked up by the time him and I made contact. I had damage, but just the way my car is, he perceived the brunt of it, which is unfortunate. Hopefully we see him back at the next race with that speed that he walked with. So with that in mind, after the pit stop was done and after the safety car, one of the virtues of my racing career was, I never had the budget to compete with a lot of the big teams and the faster guys. So, I was very used to starting, mid-pack and trying to battle my way through the field. So that's always been one of my favorite things to do as a driver is try to challenge myself and try to get to the front of the pack as quickly, cleanly as possible. And as soon as I saw the cars coming together, as soon as I saw the chaos that Belle Isle was creating, I had one instinct in mind, and that was just dive to the inside, just look as far ahead as possible, and just make plan A, plan B, and plan C. Make all three of them work if you had to, but there's only one outcome I needed, and that was just to get through it clean, and I'm glad that I was able to navigate my way and end up at fourth after the first lap, which was incredible.
Absolutely, one of the better comebacks you've had all year, and you've certainly had a couple. You've always you've had to earn your podiums and your win there at Mosport all season. So you found a way. You did it again tonight, and it's been a pleasure to watch. Your 5th top 5 of the season. I think it's your 4th podium. So 3rd or 4th. You've just had a great last go of things. We head to Olton Park next week, which is a race I'm really excited for. I know anybody that's put in some early practice is looking forward to it as well. So I can't wait to see if you go for another podium there. Maybe get win number 2 in the area. You never know. I look forward to seeing what happens there in that regard. But for the time being, as we head off towards your second interview of the night, do you have anybody you want to thank at home? Anybody you want to give a shout out to? Or as always, any sponsors you want to mention?
Yeah, I'm going to actually give a shout out to someone a little different tonight, as well as the rest of the group. So I'm going to give a shout out actually to my friend and team owner Marco DeLeo. And I'm only going to give a shout out to Marco tonight because I remember years and years ago him and I had a conversation about why him and his brother are able to be at the front of the pack without actually being the fastest guys on track, right? And I remember that conversation all those years ago, and I try to live that. So it's, with the race I won in Mosport, with all the races since then, I don't think I've been, in the I don't think I've turned the fastest lap yet, but I'm glad to see that just consistency and keeping the paying off in my regard in this aspect. So, that's a different person thing tonight. But thanks, Marco, as well as all the people watching. I know my parents are Mike Preston, Gabriella Preston, my sister Jenna, my wife Alyssa, as well as Jensen, Alora, Courtney, Keith Metcalf. As well as I think Robert Grobb from Intex Tooling. Intex Tooling located at 230 Edward Street in Aurora. Robert, I believe, is watching live, so thanks for watching, Robert. And I'd like to also thank all the sponsors, Limo Marketing, of course, for helping me look great on track, as well as Axiom Group, my employer, who allows me to do these and supports me ongoing, as well as finally the rest of everyone watching. And finally, of course, New Speed Motorsports, Rocco Smody, keep kicking some butt down in Florida. We're all rooting for you, buddy. Thanks, Marshall, for putting on a great show as always, and it was a lot of fun tonight, and look forward to the next one.
As do I. It's always a pleasure to put these together for you, Max. It's always a pleasure to talk to you here in the booth, and well, you've got your 5th top 5 of the season. Let's see if you can do it again next week. Thank you. Mimic your thank you. Thank you to all of you on behalf of Max watching at home. We had a great turnout tonight on the broadcast side. I know you and Justin are certainly guys with lots of support systems, lots of people watching at home. So thank you to all of you watching at home. Thank you, Max, for always making these things fun to watch, and congratulations on your 3rd place finish in race 2 and your 4th in race 1.
Thanks, brother. Great show again. I'm sure it's going to be another great broadcast. I look forward to watching it. Have
Awesome.
a great night, Marshall.
You too, man.
Thanks.
With that, we're going to head off to interview number 2. Always a pleasure to talk to Max Preston. Again, thank you everybody for letting me know. I was getting texts about my audio levels because some guys have louder mics than others. I know Justin's mic is pretty high tech. Max's can sometimes trail off, so I just got to turn them up, but sometimes I forget to. But we're all good. We should have the audio levels a little bit better this next interview. It's just it can be tough. Not all of us can have their mics tested vigorously before each broadcast like I do for mine. So hopefully we'll be good going forward, but thank you all for letting me know. Now for your 2nd interview of the night, for your winner of race 1, finishing 2nd in race 2, Mr. Trevor Anderson. Hey Trevor, it's Marshall up here in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Awesome. I'm just going to put your graphic up here very quickly, and then we can get started proper. There we go. So, well, Trevor, I mean, first of all, congratulations. I mean, race 2 is the reason that you're here for the interview as well. But first, I just want to congratulate you on your 1st race there. 1st race win of the season. Congratulations, man. I mean, it certainly wasn't, without some chaos around you, but you were kind of the one guy that seemed to have that combination of both speed and consistency there. You were able to keep it out of the wall. You seemed to know what you were doing. Do you just, are you starting to pick up the cues here on this Indy Pro car? Do you think you're getting much better than maybe some of those around you at keeping the car clean, keeping the back end under you? Or what sort of, happenings do you think led to your 1st win of the season there in race 1?
Really, it's just focusing on keeping the car out of the wall. I wasn't really super confident going into this race. Belle Isle is a track that kind of scared me. I had just bought it last Sunday, so I was kind of nervous going into it, and I just focused on staying out of the wall, not getting caught up in everyone's stuff, and it paid off.
Yeah, it certainly did. It was a pleasure to watch because once Logan and Andrew had their individual incidents, you were just miles off. You just took off there at that point. You got your 1st win of the year. It'll give you great points after that. But then you head into race 2. I know that there were, I don't know if there were troubles or what. You seem to kind of drop back there at the start of the first stint of race 2. Was that like an intentional move to try to get out of the way of the chaos, let things happen, or did something just go wrong getting the tires up to temp? Or kind of walk us through the first stages of race 2 there.
So Logan got a great start on me. He had me beat to the line, and I just didn't have a great start. I think it was because I started in 2nd. I should have been in 1st, but then going through turns 1 and 2, everyone just kind of swarmed me, and I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna fight it. I can, I'll battle my way back. I'll let things settle down, and the last thing I want to do is be battling with 2 guys. It's hard enough getting around 1 person at this track. So yeah, I just thought I'd just take it easy once I got swarmed, and that worked out too, I guess.
Yeah, you fight your way through after that, after all the chaos there on the start, and yeah, once you got things figured out, you got a couple positions back, you got on the last restart and came to the finish here, finishing second. So it was a great day for you, man, in terms of points. It's no doubt going to help you up through the standings. You were, I think, 6th coming into tonight. You might even hop up into the top 4 there, because with Tim missing tonight and a couple of guys throughout the field having some trouble, so it'll be a great points night for you. But going forward the rest of the season, you've just been rattling off top 5s recently. You've been kind of finding your footing there as we go along, and I've seen as well, being teammates in the Daytona 24, just how consistent you are every race. So if we get more chaotic events like we did tonight, I think they're gonna play to your strengths. So going into Oulton Park next week, which is our next round, and then after that, I think we're going to Iowa for the first time back to an oval, our first short oval of the season. So You've had pace all throughout the season at our traditional road courses. Oulton Park, if you haven't raced at it, is more similar to like Moseport or Lime Rock. So how do those traditional flatter sort of road courses suit your abilities? And do you feel comfortable at a track that's more of a high speed traditional road course rather than a street circuit like this one going into next week's race?
Yeah, Oulton Park I haven't driven in quite some time, but a smoother track I think will suit me a little bit better. I feel a lot more confident getting on the throttle and carrying speed through the turns. The bumps of Belle Isle were just brutal, but I am definitely looking forward to Oulton Park. I think I can do well there, but the smoothness helps everyone pretty much, so there will be some heavier competition, but I think it'll still be a great race, and I definitely think I can get another top 5 there. And as far as the ovals go, I'm really looking forward to a short oval. I did a lot of NASCAR racing and iRacing before joining this series, so I feel really confident on the ovals, so I'm really excited for some of those.
Great. Well, now you've set the precedent there as a winner in this series, becoming the 5th driver to get a win this season. Now you've got to become one of the 2 drivers to have, actually I think it's only Logan, so the 2nd driver to get 2 wins this season. It would be quite the achievement for sure. So looking forward to see if you do that at Oulton Park or Iowa going forward. You've certainly had the pace to do so these last few weeks. But as we always do in our interviews, is there anybody you want to thank at home, anybody you want to give a shout out to, or any sponsors you want to mention?
Yeah, thanks to my dad again for watching my races, and thanks for my stepmom for sending me some new headphones. If I sound a little bit better, I don't know how I sound, but if I sound a little bit better, it's because she sent me some new headphones. So thanks to her for that. And as always, my fiance Sloan for being there, hanging out with me while I race. And I ran the Daytona 500 last night, and she was all right with me sitting there for 3 hours and running circles. And that was a lot of fun. But yeah, that's all I got. So thank you, Marshall. It's always a pleasure.
And thank you, Trevor. It's always great to have you out. You're great to talk to. You're a great endurance race teammate. I look forward to seeing what we do together working the GT side of things in the future. But for now, for the Snowstorm side of things, thanks for coming out tonight. Looking forward to seeing you next Friday. And yeah, I'm sure I'll talk to you throughout the week.
Yep, thank you.
That going to cap off your 2nd interview of the night with Trevor Anderson, getting his, of course, 1st win of the season, his 3rd podium. So he is moving up there through the podium leaderboard. Next week, I think I'm going to, before I race at Oulton Park, I'm going to put together a list of stats. So like how many top 5s, top 3s, podiums, how many wins people have, certain statistics about them, because I think it's fun to know, and they're not always the easiest to prepare with this graphics package, but I'd be happy to give a little bit more insight into the kind of season everybody's had so far. So I'll try to prepare something like that for next week. But for the time being, hopefully the audio levels were good there. I had to turn them up a little bit, but now we are going to reset them, and we'll see what they're like for Logan Pacza, your race winner tonight, the 5th time this season. Logan's always got plenty of support there in the chat. Always a pleasure to have his parents, commenting, and of course his dad David is running the series as well. So the Paxas have found success all year, but Logan gets his 5th win of the season. Let's pull him into the booth. Hey Logan, it's Marshall in the booth. You got me?
I got you.
Awesome. Well, first of all, man, it's been a couple weeks since we've talked to you. You already had 4 wins to your name this season to this point. You come very close to getting a 5th in the first race, but troubles there towards the end. We saw that small incident there through the left-hander in corner number 4. Before we talk about the win in race 2, do you just want to talk about like what happened there in race 1? What caused the car to have that spin in corner number 4?
Oh, well, what caused the car to have the spin was me, obviously. Yeah, I think I just caught the curb a little bit so that it pushed me out wide, and then I tried getting on the power at the normal point I would, and that just sent me into the wall. And the thing is that since the cars are open wheel, a tiny bit of contact can have big results, so that's why I started doing like 360s instead of just touching it and moving off. But yeah, race 1 was decent for pace. Andrew was obviously, very fast. He's always said that he's enjoyed driving at this track. But yeah, overall, his first race was pretty fun.
Yeah, and I mean, all things considered, you still came away with a good spot. You recovered to second, so you had a great starting spot coming into race 2. Then we did the reset for race 2. I know that to start, Andrew and Max had their collision at the beginning there. That took out 2 major players, but that incident that I think you and Justin had some damage out to repair, so you still had to come from the back in race 2. What's it like trying to come through the field here at a track like Belle Isle? You know how thin it is, how tight the walls are. It's tough to pass anywhere, so how did you manage to make your way through the field as you did tonight?
Honestly, just trying to make good decisions, nothing too aggressive, but you can't be too cautious, right? Because there's a balance, right? So too aggressive usually means you cause lots of wrecks, and sometimes too cautious means that people who are being aggressive will, run into the back of you because you're trying to back off. You're not trying to get into anything, right? So you always have to have that balance there, and that's how you get through a field quickly.
Right, and we didn't give you much time here in the doubleheader. I mean, the shorter 15-lap races, so you had less time to work with. But you made your way through the pack. You made your way all the way up to race 1's winner, who almost went for 2 there, Trevor Anderson. I don't think I've seen you two have too many on-track battles this season. So you come up behind Trevor. You know you're catching him. What was your knowledge of his season so far? Did you feel confident in that battle getting started? What was your tactic of trying to pass a guy who won race 1 and was very quick in race 2? Just talk us through that last couple laps there leading up to your win here in race 2.
Well, you know that I'm used to the longer distance races for these series, right? And I'm just driving along, and I think, I'll probably catch him. Gap's only 5 seconds. If I try hard, I can probably reel in and get past him. And as I was thinking that, I was crossing the start-finish line, and the spotter said 5 laps to go. And I jumped in my seat, and I realized, okay, I gotta get a move on now. So yeah, I was pushing really, really hard in those last couple laps. As I came up to Trevor, I wasn't too sure what he was gonna do because I've really only battled him for 2 corners at Mosport in this entire series, or at any time, in fact. So I was fairly uncertain of what he was gonna do. He didn't defend in turn 1, so I thought, all right, I have a run. I'll take my chance here. Held it around the outside for turn 1. Turn 2, I was just able to get a little bit better of a run down to the straight, blocked that, and after that, I was able to hold him at about a 4/10 gap, and yeah, that was pretty much it.
Yeah, you come away and take the win, and one of the best finishes we've had in a while, winning by less than half a second, which doesn't happen all too often in this series. So you get your 5th win of the year in great fashion, and now we come to the halfway point. This was kind of the halfway point of the season so far. You were the championship leader coming in, I think, by about 50 points. You're going to extend that pretty decently here after your great night you had tonight. But the rest of the calendar, we talk about going to Oulton Park next week. Both guys that I talked to earlier say that they're relatively unfamiliar with the track, but it's a traditional road course, which I know suits a lot of people. So, Oulton Park, do you have a lot of experience with it? I know you've been on pretty familiar with a lot of tracks we've run here on iRacing, but how are you feeling about Oulton Park? How are you feeling about the traditional road courses? And do you think we'll see win number 6 from you next Friday?
I mean, I never come into a weekend saying this is going to be win number 6, this is going to be win number 7, blah, blah, blah. I always come into it with we do the best with what we got. Oulton is an interesting track. I think it'll be cool to drive in these cars. Overtaking might be a little hard because there are very long corners, right? Dirty air in these cars can get quite bad at about a 4/10 range. So we'll see how that is, but I'm excited. I think it'll be fun.
Awesome. And just a final question before we head off, and just kind of big picture. Again, you've had experience leading a championship like this before in a series I put together. I mean, you kind of dominated season 1 of Cards to Computers. Season 2 of Cards to Computers was a little bit more competitive there with Michael with the oval side of things. But the rest of the season, has your game plan over the course of over the season changed? We've seen new guys getting wins. It's been certainly a more competitive year than we've had in a while. Do you approach the races any differently than you have in the previous seasons to the rest of the year, or are you still chugging along in the traditional way, taking the same approach to each race weekend the rest of the year?
Chugging along in the traditional way, man. Every time, same mindset. Go in with what you got, do your best. What happens, happens,
Awesome. Well, that's respectable. I know some guys over the course of the year may say they're laxing off, just going for points. Some might, want to be even more inspired to win based off of even more competition. And we've had great competition this season, but you found a way to persevere every time. And 5 wins in 8 races. That's certainly one way to prove it. So congratulations, Logan. You've had yet another great season, and as always, it's been a couple weeks since we've got to do it, but this is the point where you are able to thank people at home, thank friends and family, and talk about any sponsors you want to mention.
Yeah, I'd like to thank all my friends and family who watch these videos. I'd like to thank Special Interest Auto, Prime Power Team, and an absolutely massive thank you to Franklin Self Storage and Tony Campbell and Amy Campbell. I can't thank them enough for that, and I'd like to thank you, Marshall, for putting this stuff together, man.
Awesome. Well, it's always a pleasure too, especially when you can put together some races as exciting as tonight, and you make that happen every week, Logan. So I gotta give you that same thanks back. It's always a pleasure to have you. Have a great rest of your week. Same to your friends and family at home. We will see you next week at Oulton Park. Maybe see you, maybe get a chance to race against you myself there at practice, as that's kind of my only opportunity to. But have a great rest of your season, Logan. I'm sure we'll talk to you in the next couple weeks, if not next week. And yeah, just have a great rest of your week, man.
Yeah, thanks. Have a good night, Marshall.
You too. And with that, we are now concluding your interviews for tonight. Mr. Logan Pacza gets his 5th win of the season. He's done it many times, but, well, tonight he certainly had to earn it here at Belle Isle, first chasing down Andrew Bedrossian in race 1, and then chasing down Trevor Anderson in race 2. It has been an absolute pleasure, but, well, of course, we gotta head off. Oh, I can show the, sorry. Don't acknowledge that face. Just a moment. We'll throw up the final results one more time before we head off the air. Thank you all for watching. We had a great turnout tonight. I wasn't sure how it was going to be. It was a shorter race. I know some people weren't too confident coming into tonight. Maybe thought we might have less participants. We did have less drivers than last week in Indianapolis, but going forward, I know some guys have just been busy the last couple weeks, including Tim Salvatore, who's made it out to every other race this year. So hoping for a good turnout the rest of the season. Oulton Park next week, I promise all of you will be a lot of fun. It's a track that's really close to my heart. Logan did bring up a good point about the dirty air there, but I think it's overall a good passing track with lots of long straightaways. So it'll be a great race. I can't wait for round number 9. Hopefully you guys all had a great time in tonight's doubleheader, something a little bit different. And it'll be a pleasure to see you all coming out next week for round number 9 at Oulton Park. There are your final results tonight. Logan Pacza, Trevor Anderson, and Max Preston, your podium in race 2. We can put up your results for race 1 as well. So that's race 2. That is race 1. Don't look at the thing on the bottom, just disregard that. Trevor Anderson, Logan Pacza, and Justin Lulick, your podium in that race. Trevor Anderson getting his first win of the season, and Justin Lulick his first podium. For Marshall Crocker Jr., which is myself, and the rest of the drivers in the karts. Wow, these interviews. Okay, not Karts Computers, it's the Snowstorm series. And for just myself, because I'm the only one that runs this broadcast, for Marshall Crocker Jr. and the rest of the drivers in the Snowstorm Open Wheel Racing Series season, I'd like to thank you all for watching this round and any other you may have come out to this season. Always a pleasure to have you guys watching at home. Looking forward to an even better broadcast next week at Oulton Park. And for the time being, have a great rest of your week. Stay safe, everybody. And I will see you all next Friday. Bye, everyone.